and we will start in 3, 2, 1. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. How how are you doing? Did you have a good whatever period of time this is? Is everything all right? Zach, you need to say something.
Insert indeterminate amount of time here because I don't know when we're releasing them.
Presumably weekly, but maybe not. At some point,
Oh, that's a lot of pressure, buddy.
at some point, these news items are going to get increasingly out of date. But
Like it's going to be really outdated until all of a sudden it's kind of a little closer to on time.
uh-huh. But yeah, this is once again somehow you didn't die on your way to work. A I almost said transit safety industry podcast. I'm Joe Zeta. With me is
It's an industry.
Zach Lybrand. We are
Hi.
we are here with a blue background this time, and the blue background will not be there anymore. Today's episode is going to be slightly different than the 3 other ones we've recorded thus far. It's the independent study episodes, which is when I get to talk about something that I know a bit about that isn't necessarily safety related, but it will be because people could probably die. Also, then next week Zach gets to do it
It
about
has
something
potential.
that he knows about too. So, but
Oh, you guys get ready.
this is fun. I am excited. But first, we must do the news.
Goddamn nose.
Yeah, this is what
This
things are like now.
turtle-headed motherfucker.
Uh, again, the headline says most of it. Republic Airlines CEO Brian Bedford has apparently been claiming on the website of Republic Airlines that he is a commercial pilot. He is not. He's rated. I think he's multi-engine rated and instrument, but not commercial. I'm not 100% specific of what you need to be a commercial pilot, but he doesn't have that. He just is the CEO of one of the many, many shitty airlines that cancels your flight when you are trying to get home from a city that really should have first class air service too, because Republic Airways is one of the commercial regional partners for various
Oh God.
airlines.
Do
I'm
those
not
even count?
I'm not bitter. I got my flights canceled by Endeavor twice. When I was I that was fun. I managed to fly from JFK from Cleveland to JFK via LaGuardia both ways. Uh, but anyways, he is presumably a perfectly normal man with normal views on things. Pay no attention to anything else that he says. Uh,
So apparently he got within a stone's throw of actually getting this certification.
mm-hmm.
He he passed his oral and written exams. Apparently had enough hours, but didn't get a check ride. He had one scheduled, but it was postponed indefinitely due to bad weather, and then he took a different job and just never did the check ride. So a little bit of credit for getting close, but
Yeah,
until you got the card, you're not a flyboy.
yeah. Little column A, little column B. This is definitely like 9/10 of a nothing burger, but at the same time, I keep coming back to the fact that we all decided that Howard Dean didn't deserve a political career because he made a funny noise, and yet, so so really, the bar for things used to be a lot higher, and now he's probably going to be the head of the FAA by the end of the year. So,
God
yeah.
help us all.
Hopefully he knows what he's doing, but considering that he runs a regional airline, he doesn't. Just flat out does not.
He knows how to fleece customers and make money, and that's exactly what you want in charge of a governmental agency, correct?
He definitely knows what it's like to run an airline full of people who don't want to work there, who are paid very little. Which actually, that is the FAA. That's just air traffic control right now.
Yeah, I'm making some not making. I guess I'm feeling mixed blessings for not going into air traffic control because I did seriously consider that at one point, but
It's not great.
I'm kind of
I've heard nothing but
yeah,
bad things.
yeah. I don't hate myself enough to put myself in that position.
Hmm. I never wanted to learn how to fly. It always seemed like there were too many bad outcomes, even if we no matter no matter what happened. Which speaking of bad outcomes, this is something that I didn't actually put in the slides, but I just wanted to update from last week. So as of right now, which is the 18th of June 2025, Air India flight 171 is now like the eighth deadliest aviation crash of all time, excluding 9/11.
Yeah,
They, yeah,
one plane.
at least 40 people on the ground died, plus 241 on the airplane. Um, I do want to correct myself. I said it crashed directly into the cafeteria at the medical school. Apparently, it crashed partially into the cafeteria, but more so into the dormitory buildings. I was
Ugh.
thrown I was thrown a little bit because apparently in India they're called hostels, which in American English has a much worse connotation.
Yeah, I
So
was wondering about that. Like, is that? I was wondering if that was some weird
it
medical school
it's
tradition.
it's apparently just a different word for dormitory. If you actually there's pictures online. It's like dorm towers at colleges. Like they're like tall towers of dorms. We have to remember that Ahmedabad, India is basically like the size of Philadelphia, even
Yeah.
if you've never heard of it. But I just wanted to get that out there. We'll continue to update people on past news items as we hear about them. But anyway, on to the next slide. Yeah, this is what things are like
No.
now.
No.
Um
No.
so
No. Do you? Is
yeah,
didn't somebody say that another class one merger was pretty much never going to happen again just a
yeah,
couple years ago?
yeah, a lot of people did. Railway age among them. It was almost not an issue before 2025 because the ICC and the FRA were like, no, you can't. Because at that point, you're eliminating even a pretense of competition and creating like a. Because, okay, in case you don't know this, this is a in case you're I don't know listening on audio or something. This is a screenshot of a Railway Age article, which says that basically there is a 20 to 25% chance now of another round of railway mergers in the United States, specifically with the long prophesized transcontinental super merger. Um, this is basically what we would call the end game of U.S. railroading, because up to the current point, basically, we've now got it to the basically as more and more rounds of railroad consolidation have occurred, we've basically got into I would say probably a 7 or 8 way oligarchy situation between railroads, which before 7 or 8 different railroads was just how many options you had to get to New York City. But now
Yeah, that was like the major metropolitan
Yeah,
areas.
but nowadays you've got Norfolk Southern in CSX in the eastern United States. You've got um, in the center of the United States,
BNSF.
you've got Canadian National and what's now CPKC, which used to be the individual Canadian Pacific and KCS lines, which mostly they follow the track of the Mississippi River because CN bought the Illinois Central and Kansas City Southern was a North South Railroad even beforehand. And what did CP end up buying? That was like the GM&O or something, or
I
no,
believe
no, that was the Illinois
no.
Central that bought that. CP had something that let them go well into the United States. The Sioux line. They bought the Sioux line that got them into like
That's right.
Minnesota and everything, and then they sort of just expanded from there. But and then on the western United States, you have BNSF and Union Pacific, and then as like Another outlier of this, we do have Genesee in Wyoming, which is a
Yeah,
major,
yeah.
which is basically what happens if every short line in the company was owned by like one company. And that's the largest single operator of short lines in the US. They are everywhere. You have seen them. And
And it's a solid business model too, because all they do is they gobble up customers that the class ones don't want to switch. Not because they don't make money, but because they don't make enough money. And then companies like G&W and Wadco and other consolidated shortline holders come in and go, what do you mean not enough money? The money's still green, isn't it? It's still a profit.
yeah,
The fuck you doing? We'll take those off your hands.
yeah, G&W, Omnitrax, Watco, Rail America used to be one, but then the G&W bought
They
them.
got bought out.
But yeah, so that's like sort of the last step of it. But basically, any further consolidation at this point was sort of viewed as a never going to happen thing because the CPKC merger had to be given special dispensation because Kansas City Southern was so much smaller than everybody else that back in the 2000s, the Surface Transportation Board and the Interstate Commerce Commission and all the other various things were like, we'll let you in, but like, especially after BNSF and the UPSP merger happened in such short succession, and us on the heels of Conrail getting split between Norfolk Southern and CSX, that was the like never gonna happen. And we see why. Like when UP bought SP, um, basically Union Pacific uh, own gold themselves so much that the city of Houston stopped existing for like 6 months because SP had this SP Southern Pacific was a little bit more broke and less flush than
Ugh. A
that
little bit more broke is
I'm being
putting it
I'm
lightly.
being polite. Everybody likes them with the rose tinted glasses of hindsight. But anyways, SP was on a leg that didn't have much left on it. And so they had like 7 different yards scattered across Houston. And
Yep.
it was sort of that thing where it's like once you've got the balls in the air, it's relatively easy to keep them up there. So they never did anything else, but they just shuttled cars between all the various yards in Houston. And it's like, good, this is good. Everything's fine so long as nobody touches it. And Union Pacific comes in with their fucking Magic Mike XL dick swinging around and like, what the fuck are you poor people doing? And just is like, no, we're going to
They
put
could not comprehend how the SP kept that
yeah,
clusterfuck going.
rich people cannot understand scrabbling basically, and so they went in there. They're like, clean this shit up. Be a railway for God's sake. And what happened was that everything broke immediately, and you essentially could not get a train into, out of, or through Houston for months. To the point where I
And
think the plastics industry, because a lot of it is based out of Houston, like
mhm.
had the equivalent damage to it as though a hurricane had razed their facilities to the ground.
Yeah.
And
And the state of Texas turned into a parking lot on then UP tracks.
yeah, you couldn't get anything through for any amount of money. I actually don't know how Amtrak managed at the time, but I assume badly.
Barely, from what I've heard.
And then,
Barely.
yeah, so that was in the 90s. And what we have nowadays is railroad management that is even less focused on operational efficiency. And also, the other thing is that we say a transcontinental merger. What that actually means is that Chicago is going to have through trains because nobody connects anywhere else other than like Chicago and like a couple of other places. But it's all Chicago. The Belt Railway will get all fucked up. And that's just on the operational side. The bigger part of this is that obviously as we all know, because it is 2025, that individual customers don't make you money, and so you should get rid of them and focus solely on the never interruptible um, international container and logistics markets, as well as unit trains of coal and grain and that sort of thing. All of these are markets that will never go away and never be impacted by anything
Nope.
ever. And all those
Nope.
individual companies can go fuck
Infinite
themselves
money.
and take
Numbers go up.
and use trucks. So what happens is that when you have lots of railroads, or just two in this case, like you don't even have to have a lot, you could just have like Norfolk Southern and CSX. um, what's going to happen is that you will run into a thing where like Norfolk Southern's like, fuck you, this is like a third tier branch line, we're not going to switch you. But CSX is like, sure thing, we'll have a switch job twice a week. When both of those are Norfolk Southern, suddenly nothing matters. Suddenly they don't give a shit about you anymore, and that's and they and everybody and now imagine that, but on a transcontinental scale. Imagine trying to
And
get that through. Trying to, it's like, we don't care about you because we can just run containers from Seattle to New York City nonstop. Like, why do we need your one boxcar a day?
this also, to touch on your comment earlier about Class 1 railroads almost being a monopoly right now, just with the way everything's set up.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember, but a couple of years ago, a thing called reciprocal switching
Yes.
came up in the news, and this is exactly what it was trying to prevent. If the UP says, we don't think it's worth it to deliver a box card to you every third Tuesday or something like that, the BNSF could come in and then go, well, we'll do it. We'll do it for this price. Meanwhile, the UP is giving that customer like a fuck off number, something so ridiculously high that the company will have to reject it. But the BNSF could come in and say, well, we'll switch it, and then they would be required to be given access to whatever route they need to get to that customer and switch them out. But that kind of breaks up the monopoly a little bit, and that's a bad thing. So that whole idea got shot down. It was frustrating.
Yeah, and the other thing with reciprocal switching, because I was actually about to bring that up, is technically every railroad in the country, from the Buckingham branch down in Virginia all the way up to Norfolk Southern and BNSF, are required to give priority dispatch to Amtrak trains. By law, they will be fined if they don't.
Mm-hmm.
And Amtrak trains are 8 or 10 hours late on the regular. So do we think that reciprocal switching would actually go very well? Or do we think that like there would be a UP crew dead on hours 15 like 300 miles down a BNSF branch or something like that? Because BNSF is like, no, we won't let, like, you're going to go when we say you go, and we say you go tomorrow. That sort of thing. So I have serious doubts about how they are going to handle that, and I don't think it'd go that well. On the other side, I would love to see Amtrak do reciprocal switching, but like just
last time they tried to touch freight,
yeah, I was about to say that.
BNSF
Yep.
and the UP and all of the other class ones collectively turned into a bunch of crying piss babies and said, but it's our business, even though they wouldn't handle the exact business Amtrak was picking up.
That's always what it is. But and then also it's interesting to sort of think what the next mergers would be, because up until very recently it would have either been Norfolk Pacific or Union SX, because Berkshire Hathaway owns BNSF 100% outright, and they have always viewed it as a long-term, like 100-year asset. Like they don't want to flip it for anything.
He's not.
But
they're not eager to get rid of that.
But the prophet of Omaha, Warren Buffett, is retiring because he is 94 or something like that. So do we think that his chosen successor might not be swayed by by the guys at Union Pacific driving 15 minutes across town and being like, "Hey, here's a gajillion dollars. Give us BNSF."
So if that specific situation happens, I do have one little thing that I hope comes out of it, and that is I hope that the the new railroad that is created by the UP and the BNSF merging ends up with the reporting marks UPSF. I want to cut out that BN in particular just to piss off the long decaying body of Lou Mink, who was the last president of the BN Railway. Total asshole. Killed the. You wonder why the CB&Q stopped doing fan trips? It was because of Lou Mink. He was just completely an asshole in every single conceivable way, and yet the road going into the BNSF headquarters is named Lou Mink Drive. And just to be able to cut his legacy out of the picture entirely would warm my cold, jaded heart.
I approve of this level of pettiness. I was unaware of that. But yeah, so basically an east-west merger would probably then be either BNSF-CSX or Union Southern or Norfolk SF or something like that. And it'd be
Norfolk Santa Fe has an interesting ring to it.
Norfolk Santa Fe. It'll be some.
NSF still eliminates the B, which gets rid of the BN.
Yeah, NSF. It'll be something like that. And because this industry analyst is saying like who's formerly the STB chairman is saying it's like 20 to 25%. Because former. Are you okay? What was that gagging noise?
Ugh, the STB just makes my skin crawl.
But if he's if he's formally of them, and then says that it's likely, I'm assuming it'll happen by like before the end of Trump's term, because that's how this is going.
Grow some fucking balls and tell them no.
They won't.
Tell them to stay in their own corners.
The money talks too much. You know, we have to do something. And I don't know what they'll do after that point, because I don't even have like a conceivable idea of how.
Well, you know, maybe this is what it might take a little longer, but maybe this is what we need. We'll just let them keep merging until it's one, and they're completely screwing everybody over, and then we could nationalize the fucking railroads.
It could happen. I'm almost imagining that that UPNSF or whatever it ends up being. No, UP Union Southern, Union or Northern, whatever it is, Norfolk Pacific. If I imagine that if that fails, we could just have the Conrail Twitter account, because Conrail still exists as a switching operation in a few places, just be like, it seems that our absence, our death was greatly exaggerated, as they just have to start painting. It just NS 8098, the Conrail Heritage Unit, just to like they just scrub out the NS mark and just be like, aha, this is now this is the flagship engine. Everything else is painted.
Guess who's back?
Guess who's back again. Now
Conrail's back. Mm-hmm. Tell a friend.
Now let's go on to the next slide. This is some breaking news that I found out just today. Honda built a rocket.
Honda makes rockets?
No, let me say that again. Honda built a rocket, launched it, landed it, and announced it yesterday. They're just like, yeah, we feel that like a lot of our customers are going to need space things soon, so we're just going to do that. This is like they didn't tell anyone they were doing this. They just did it.
What trim level do I have to get on my Civic to get these capabilities?
I imagine the SRB trim. But yeah, they just built a rocket like in-house. It got like
shiggles.
I don't know
funsies.
How high is 271 meters? That sounds like 700-ish feet. But they landed.
Hold up. 271 meters, 2 feet. Help me. 889 feet. That's impressive for
Yeah,
just a first time
yeah,
shits and giggles
and they
rocket.
landed it within 37 centimeters of the target.
Okay, hang on.
That's
My dumb American ass has to convert this to. You said 37
37
centimeters?
centimeters.
That is. Let me see. That is 1.2 feet, which would be like 1 foot 3 inches ish.
Yeah, about the size of Lyndon Johnson's dick. So, one jumbo off
Now,
target.
come on, Jumbo is bigger than that. Give him some credit.
But
The man had to get custom pants made with extra ballroom. We gotta
uh
give respect where respect is due.
my favorite Lyndon Johnson fact, aside from the amphicar, is did you know that he had this like absolutely like torture chamber tier shower installed in the White House?
No.
Oh my god, he kept bitching and complaining that the shower wasn't powerful enough. He put the White House plumbers through hell until finally they installed this absolutely like ghastly looking contraption that when he got in it the first time, it pushed him against. It was like that scene in Seinfeld where they got the shower heads finally. It shoved him against the wall and like he started
It,
turning bright red and he was like screaming and the plumbers were like, "Are you okay?" And it's like, "This is fantastic." And that was
Did
with
they just hook up a fire hydrant to
it
the
was
shower
like
head?
7 nozzles or something. I don't know what it was. This is like 1960s plumbing rocket science. They were doing on the cutting edge, and it lasted for 6 months because after that Johnson left office, and Richard Nixon allegedly went to the bathroom the first time. Was like, "What the fuck is this?" and had them take it out.
One nozzle. This is a quote from a Business Insider article.
It's the same
One
one I
nozzle was
read.
positioned to shoot up the president's rear, while another was aimed directly at his penis.
Yes, that's
That.
you've read the
Mm,
same article I have,
oh,
but
a
Johnson.
light switch he could flip for either hot or cold. Did not want warm water. Okay, yeah, we kind of already knew it, but LBJ is a psychopath.
Yeah, Lyndon Johnson, certified freak. Wish he wasn't an adulterer, because then we could just like him unironically. But apparently, Lady Bird
I
was not fond of his many rendezvous.
I mean neither was Jackie with JFK, so
Yeah,
he was just continuing the tradition.
if guys from the '60s could not be like that, that'd be great. But
Man, do you know how many people from the 60s I thought were cool until I found out how much they slept around and treated women like shit?
yeah,
Like,
most of
just
them.
as a general rule, I would have it'd be easier for me to name the ones who didn't.
Yeah, most of them is what it is. But that's that's your fun Lyndon Johnson fact for the day. Absolute freak in the sheets and in the shower. Um, but anyways, now that we've talked about Honda building a rocket, which is totally what we've been talking about for the last couple of minutes, uh, let's go to the next one. So, so this happened. Um, I I would like to say that I came downstairs from we this happened. Israel started bombing Iran in an attempt to destroy their nuclear program while we were recording the last episode. And I uh,
That
I I
was frustrating.
I came down the stairs to see my dad flicking through various news channels, and apparently during the initial breaking news period, Newsmax had some of the best reporting from on the ground, which is very distressing. I didn't
That
know we
the
got
state of the world today.
I didn't know that we had Newsmax.
Surprise.
Although I will say there is also an Israeli news channel on our television. I-24 News is just Jewish news, like Israeli Jewish news, which we've watched occasionally before, but I flicked to that to see what they were talking about, and it was such breaking news. They were broadcasting in Hebrew and having closed captioning.
Hey man, you got when it's that hot, you can't think about how to speak a second tongue. You just go
Yeah.
straight back to the mother tongue.
I think they were just doing the like Hebrew broadcast and didn't even bother with the English one. I also I It's like Israeli Al Jazeera, where it's like you have to watch both of them and let it average itself out. Because otherwise it's like that old Jewish joke of the guy reading the of the rabbi reading the really anti-Semitic newspaper, and the guy asks him, why are you reading that newspaper? Oh, this newspaper's great. It says the Jews rule everything and they have all the money. This is fantastic.
See, I feel that the best way to consume such things is to set up two TVs next to each other, step back until they're both fully in view, and then cross your eyes, and whatever picture shows up in the middle, that's probably the truth.
Yeah, actually that is.
That's how that works, right?
Mm-hmm. I always, it's a macabre thing, but I love breaking news because you get to watch them form the biases in real time.
That shit makes my head hurt.
Because you've got about the sweet spot is about 2 hours, especially if it's an event that's happening. Like, this is going to sound real dark. If there's like a school shooting in the middle of nowhere, you've got about 2 hours for them to get somebody in a van and get down there. So for 2 hours, you're getting real time speculation from like WQFX or whatever, you know, channel 19 that's down there already, and they have no idea what's going on. And so that's the real news. After that, you've got Anderson Cooper or Megyn Kelly or whoever, and they're and in today's biases for whichever, it's the whole thing. It's
I do miss being able to see hot takes on breaking news from Alex Jones, because goddamn, I love that gravelly voiced little frog man.
My brother used to listen to Alex Jones as like an anthropological exercise to see what was wrong with him.
See, my favorite thing is that so many times he got so close to being right about being upset about something, but he would then twist it in such a way that's like, well, no, you can't. That's not why it's bad, or that's not the part that's actually bad. You're so close. I feel like if you just stopped for a moment, you could get there. Like the infamous line about the frogs being gay, that was actually a concern with a chemical dump or an unregulated chemical dump that was actually turning frogs gay, but that he twisted it in such a way that it like nope. Now it's just about it's what gay people. That's how gay people are made, apparently.
I had no idea that was actually a real thing.
Dude, the gay frogs were real. The gay frogs were real. That's the worst part. Like that was an actual environmental concern, but he made it about people instead.
Can you imagine being the poor fuck at the EPA who has to go in and be like, sir, I want you to say this real. I want you to experience this with me. Your chemical dump is turning the freaking frogs gay, and we need you to stop.
Please stop.
Do you see these two bullfrogs? They're having an elaborate wedding in Manhattan next week, and all of their friends feel inferior to them. We have to stop this. You have to stop this.
The wedding is a black tie event. Stop this.
The wedding is a black tie event. Do you know what it takes for them to get Edison bulbs at frog sizes? We can't allow this to go on. They are going to gentrify this bog very soon.
And I'll have you know that I have not been able to seal the deal on this land I'm trying to buy in here, so I can't make money off of this gentrification yet. Please stop.
The EPA side hustle. We want this land to be pristine so we can profit from it.
That's the secret all along. They don't care about us. They care about the money.
Well, of course, any organization set up by Richard Milhouse Nixon has to have like 7 schemes going on.
It's never. Don't take anything that old Milhouse did at face value.
Mm-hmm. I am not a crook. I am also not a real estate
investor. By coincidence, it might make things a little better. Maybe.
Mm-hmm. But, all
right.
But yeah, so that is the news. That is hopefully a lightning round. It's not a lightning round. So, so next we're actually going... we're going on to the next to slide 7.
34 minutes. We're doing
Cool.
good, bud.
To slide 7, which is today's topic. It's not a theme, it's a topic. Today's topic is an entirely objective and 100% fact-based dissertation on why the monorail is the best form of transportation and all of you are just cowards. Also, how the Las Vegas Monorail may die and it's probably Elon Musk's fault, but also a bunch of other factors like reality and lobbying and also money, but that's beside the point. Anyways, also corruption happened. It's really weird. Yeah, so we're talking about monorails. I fucking love monorails.
Your dissertation could use a bit more of a concise title.
No. So anyways, what is a monorail? Well, at its core, a monorail is any kind of rail transport that runs in a single guideway. So mono equals one and rail equals rail.
All right,
you
congrats.
can see on this thing on the side, we have a cross section actually from the design plans for the Las Vegas monorail, which shows basically what you're dealing with. You usually have a concrete pillar poking out of the ground with a cantilever at the end of it, and just the concrete guideways rest on top of that, and the trains run on top of that. That is a straddle beam monorail. That is the most common form of monorail there is, and it, forgive me, it just sort of works. But onwards to the next slide.
It's so simple, it's hard to fail.
Yeah. And now we're on to the next slide. We've got kinds of monorails. So,
dude, a steam monorail fucking slaps.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that one. That one's really fun. So I
see foreshadowing.
At the top here, we've got the Alweg monorail. We've got modern monorails and then we've got older monorails. The Alweg monorail is by far the most common of the modern monorails. It's a straddle beam. It was invented in the 1960s by the Germans, which it does exactly what you think it is. It runs down the concrete guideway from the top. It has wheels on the top of the beam and on the sides to guide it through there, and I'm trying to describe what it is. That's basically it. It runs sort of differently to that. The other option we have is a suspended monorail, which is the one you see in the top corner. That is the Safki system. I hope I'm pronouncing that correct. That is French, also invented in the 60s. That is a suspended monorail. There are multiple.
You've probably just butchered that pronunciation, and now we've lost our 3 French listeners.
Sure, good for them. If they made it this long, they should know. They should know better. But the Safki system is sort of the uncommon of the two modern monorail kinds. Definitely has gotten a lot more traction in Japan, but even then, not a lot. Suspended monorails have never really been as big of a thing because the infrastructure is more unwieldy due to just how it all works. The Safki system sort of hides everything away inside a protective cover, but you can see on the next slide down, the next image down, the Wuppertal system in Germany, just exactly what is all needed to make it go. But the Safki system, I believe, is rubber tired as well. I saw a cutaway diagram, and it's like a box beam almost that the thing runs inside. It's very interesting. But that monorail is the monorail up there is actually the Safki test track, which I believe was in one of the 1960s versions of Fahrenheit 451. But other than that, did not catch on a lot. Then we've got the older monorails. So we've got older monorails. So underneath the Safki system, we have what is probably the example of suspended monorails, the Wuppertal system in Germany. That is its own fucking thing. It looks like just a standard suspended monorail, but it's built in 1898. It originally had wheels that were connected on it runs on steel wheels that were originally mounted. I think they might still be mounted where the bogie connects to the car on both sides of the rail, which means it's actually impossible to do track switching. Or
Oh,
some
I never thought about that.
it's Safki and Alweg monorails actually are fairly easy, but I have a slide way later in here that shows how the
Oh,
Wuppertal monorail turned trains around outside of the balloon loops at each end. It's wild,
I oh.
but I think now
Also, I want you to know I'm very disappointed that for the Wuppertal monorail that you did not include a picture of the Kaiserwagen, or
uh,
excuse me, the Kaiserwagen,
the
which looks way cooler.
I like the new modern designs, but also
They no, see they're fine. Just the Kaiserwagen, the fact that it still runs is I love it. It's
I like
so
the
cool.
Kaiserwagen, but there's a lot there. I wanted to get a picture of the actual like mechanical goings on of the Wuppertal system to sort of show like what the fuck,
Fair,
because
fair.
one of the key things with monorails nowadays is that they are rubber tired. So the Wuppertal system being steel rail is kind of an odd one out. And then
And with it being steel wheel on steel rail, it's almost like what you'd expect a normal railroad to be in Australia.
essentially, yeah. Um, basically, although it's not broad gauge. Australia uses a lot of broad gauge. But
They've got quite the mix.
yeah. And then finally, older monorails can also be categorized as insane. People just built things back then. So shown here at the bottom is an image of the
This
Boynton Bicycle Railway in New Jersey. I
this
promise
doesn't count. There's two rails, even
it
if they are on top of
that
each
is
other.
I was going to mention that, but this is a good side profile image. It is an etching, but there is actual photos. This did exist. It is a double-decker cab for this steam locomotive. It is I don't even want the white notation looks at this and dies. Um but it is
Mm.
it is real. This existed. A lot of early monorails, and there were several of these just in New Jersey that that all operated off of
Uh,
what
This is clearly the idea of somebody who got too high on the hairspray fumes.
well it was 1890 something. Did they even have hairspray back then? This is like
Of course
laudanum.
they did, and it was made with something even worse than CFCs, I'm sure.
I'm sure it's
That's why
powder.
you get weird monorails.
But I think the actual reason for this, aside from the laudanum overdoses, was it doesn't take up as much space as a conventional railway because it's one rail. And then also, you have a lot. You're able, because it's a lot lighter than a standard railway, you can build it over unimproved land on like, because the Boynton Bicycle Railway used to be like a cart, used to be like a, I think it was like an omnibus track or something back when omnibuses
Uh,
were pulled by horses
huh.
or something like that. There's actually like two or three balancing like one rail and then a second rail up above railways in New Jersey that were all various like horse cart things or something that were out of business by like 1915. So there was another one that I can't remember the actual name of it, but it's in like the history of the monorail Wikipedia page. It's called the Flying Lady. That thing was electric, I think, and it just fell over all the time. Uh,
Oh, poor little buddy.
like they just fall over all the time. These aren't even these are arguably the more insane ones, but other insane ones do exist, and we'll see that on the next slide, which I have helpfully titled "Is This a Monorail?"
I got
Uh,
ahead of us. I got ahead of you by accident just a little bit ago, so I would like to correct myself. Now I see foreshadowing.
okay, so first of all, is this a mon?
Bobby.
First image, is this a monorail? Yes, that is a gyroscopic balancing monorail. That is something that a bunch of that was an idea that people had back in the olden days to just have a giant flywheel spinning in the middle of the car to sort of keep it upright through gyroscopic force. It's really stupid, but it
I
worked.
don't. I This looks like it shouldn't work. I have a hard time wrapping my mind around how big of a gyroscope you need for that.
Oh, I'm certain that it's big enough that if the flywheel came apart, it would kill everyone within range.
Probably.
Um,
I made it
Next
out of the
up,
cheapest pig iron, and it just
yeah,
shatters into a million pieces.
oh yeah, and then next on the other side of the screen, we have the Latrigue monorail system in which they built it in Ireland. This is absolutely ludicrous. Yes, it counts as a monorail, but also it's nuts. The Latrigue monorail system, which is Ballybowen and Listobel. Oh God, those are not the names. It's in Ireland. It's in Ireland. That's where they could find space to build it. It was built by a French guy. He wanted to put it in like the Sahara Desert because he felt that this would be easier to get over like sand dunes and things like that. Because it was
Oh,
or something along those lines. This is steam powered. This is locomotive hauled. The train straddles a triangular beam with like guide rails on either side. Uh, it is absolutely bizarre. They built it. It worked. Um, it is one of the only at grade monorails to ever exist, and apparently, if you wanted to cross it, the level crossings were like drawbridges. the
that's
tr-
cool.
the tracks would physically would be like raised up like a drawbridge to allow the horse and cart access underneath it. Um, it appears the engine has twin boilers. I didn't really look into it that far because that way
Yeah,
lies
that was
madness.
that. I have looked into this in the past, and it was like the only way that he could keep the damn thing from just tipping off to the side
Yeah,
anytime the water sloshed.
yeah, no, it's nuts. But it works, and it is a monorail. Next up, is this a monorail? Yes, it is. That's the Trailblazer. That was the first monorail introduced in the U.S. in 1962 at the 1962 Dallas State Fair, Texas State
No,
Fair.
1956.
1956. I'm sorry, it says
And
62 on this image, but you're
so
right.
that's that. Yeah, that's that one image. And I'm not sure if that was the first monorail in the US, but it was the first commercial monorail at the
Yeah,
very least
it's the
because you
first.
had to pay extra to ride this.
Yeah, it's the first non-insane person monorail, like the Boynton Bicycle Railway. Uh, but this one, you can also just sort of see how this is a suspended monorail, but is very much not the Safkey system. It's also very much not the design they used in Wuppertal. It's its
It
own
is
thing.
its own
It's
little
also
weirdo.
it's also gasoline powered.
Hmm.
They used a Packard V8. It's in
Two of them, if I remember
two of
correctly.
them. Oh my god, it's incredible. I kind of love it. I really love it. But but anyway, next monorail. Is this a monorail? Yes, that's an Alweg monorail. That's basically just that's an Alweg design monorail. I think that one was in Italy, but I could be wrong. That's literally what 90% of monorails today are. Is something based off of the Alweg design. Next up, is this a monorail? No, that's a train. That's a Bright Line train in Florida on
We
its way.
just covered this.
Yeah,
Come on.
on its way to its next victim. This is not a train. This is not a monorail. And then finally, we have to ask: is this a monorail? Maybe. So basically,
What is that?
so we'll get that is the Berlin M-Bahn, better known as the Magnetenbahn, better known as the what? Because this was a system built in the late 1980s, just before reunification, where there was a significant increase in tourism to the wall, specifically like the part of Brandenburg Plaza that was on the west side. And the problem was that because all of the transit links through the Berlin Wall had been severed, there were S-Bahn tracks that went to right around Brandenburg Gate, but no ability to run trains on them. So they developed, because it was Germany in the 80s, a maglev train that ran.
Excuse me.
That's a maglev that ran down the existing that they basically laid the maglev tracks on top of the S-Bahn system and ran it very light railway sort of style down there, had a bridge over whatever river goes through Berlin for a little bit to get it where it needed to go, and then they just had it. It was like a 3-station system. A couple of years later, the wall came down. They needed to reconnect the S-Bahn, and the Magnetenbahn disappeared into the ether because they completely removed all of the tracks. I think one car maybe survived, and because Berlin got so developed so quickly, the entire infrastructure, the station buildings, everything is now like completely covered, is now completely knocked down and relayed over with like the Sony Center.
Oh
Um,
wow.
the M-Bahn is definitely not a monorail because the way it runs on the inside of its tracks is a little bit weirder. Like I think it's like it's weird, but I used it just because I do like confusing people by showing them a picture of the M-Bahn and making them go, "What the hell is that?" But also, maglevs are sort of this weird edge case where like they can be monorails. Like the Transrapid system is definitely on a single rail, but it's pushing it so far to like the idea of what a monorail traditionally is, because a monorail traditionally uses like a thin single rail as opposed to the Transrapids that's the width of the entire car and then some. That I struggle to consider it a monorail, but technically it is. It's definitely like
I guess.
we're getting into like Punnett Square territory, like those that stupid, structural purists, structural radical thing. I hate those, but that's kind of what it is. And maglevs
I
are
guess
the
it kind of counts.
yeah. That's why I have maybe there. It definitely can be. It can also not be. Um, there's definitely well, I would love to do an episode on the Transrapid crash, so we might have to talk about it then. But it's generally just super weird. Maglevs are their own
it,
thing, and no one should really consider them as in the same sort of thing. Uh, but it's super weird, super weird. Can it's it's definitely a whole weird thing, and I'm really running out.
it's a thing.
Yeah, it
It
exists.
is a thing.
It exists. It totally exists. Also, I really like how the photographer framed the German flag over the M-Bahn, under the N-Bahn thing.
Oh, look at that right there in that little notch, dude.
Uh-huh.
He
Like
knew what
that
he was doing.
Klaus had to
That's
have been
that's good
sitting there for
photography.
like 17 hours or something. Like yeah, I must wait for the wind to be perfect so that I may take my photographin. He was
I've
there all
gone out
day.
there for every day for 3 weeks now.
He got it though, so good for him. It's a shame that the
Hell
system
yeah.
nobody knows about the system. It's there's like
I
one
mean,
website that's about it. I found it. Uh
oh, it's like a little orphan
yeah.
system.
They even had their own accident. One of the cars just didn't stop at the end and like punched out through the wall like in Thomas the Tank Engine.
It was being ambitious. It was predicting the future. It wanted to expand. It was a sign. It's okay. Nothing's wrong with that.
If only the commies had stayed around for a little bit longer. This thing would have been fine.
Dumping communism was a mistake.
Some people do consider it to be that way. I'll
Yeah.
reserve I'll reserve comment. Uh so anyway, on to our next slide. Why does nobody take monorails seriously?
Because of this motherfucker right here.
Let's take a closer gander at this photograph because everything about it is just better and as you look at it more. Uh
Yep.
who's in the
Yep.
cab?
Uh who's in the nose bubble is our good buddy Richard Milhouse Nixon.
And then
Uh,
yeah, and his
Up
family.
up in that little dome up there, that's the actual cab. I'm pretty sure that's Colin Mockery, which confirms that he's a time traveler.
I love his head just poking out of there, and then of course we have Walt Disney, um, old Walter Elias Disney, who's just who's just there. This is the Disneyland monorail on opening day. Uh, Fun fact: apparently, when they opened Disneyland, this had not yet been built, and there was a train ride that was um, two gasoline-powered trains that looked like the GM Aero train that ran
Yes.
in parallel to the Disneyland Railway. Those things could do like 35 miles an hour.
It had a slightly different route. I don't
Yes.
think it was nearly as long, but it still looked so cool.
I think you and I saw the same YouTube video on this. But
Maybe.
but yeah, so this is the Disneyland monorail and I'm just going to click onto the next slide and sort of further this point. Why does nobody take monorails seriously? Let's it's not hard to guess why. So going so in the US, the vast majority of monorails are in theme parks. So obviously there's Disney. This is showing my Pennsylvania heritage a little bit. We've got the Hershey Park monorail and the Dutch Wonderland monorail, which were formative experiences for me in terms of monorails. Um, Up here is the Europa Park monorail, which is really the like platonic ideal of of a theme park monorail in terms of design. Um, Down in the opposite corner, we've got Roller Coaster Tycoon 2 with its monorail there, and that sort of
Oh, they included that as like a theme park specific thing.
I did, yeah. It's a roller coaster. It's a transport ride in Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Oh no.
It's monorails are in there. Monorails are you can get monorail cars that are in the design of the Europa Park monorail, which is why I included both of them because well, it's in the same general style because the Europa Park monorail is
Yeah.
I think uh just like a standard off the shelf design. And then finally up there in the upper corner on the upper right is the
Leonard
Springfield
Nimoy.
monorail. The
It's
Springfield
his
mon
fault. Blame Leonard.
from the Simpsons episode Marge versus the Monorail, which much like nuclear power is probably what the Simpsons are probably why nobody takes monorails very seriously. Um, I I do know people who work for a local nuclear power plant, and they do say that the Simpsons is one of the primary reasons why nobody likes nuclear in the modern era because
Oh,
everybody sees Homer Simpson like throwing
we
around
sh-
a fuel rod.
we should do a poll and figure out who did more damage to the public image of nuclear power. Was it 3 Mile Island or The Simpsons?
Oh, that'd be an even thing, wouldn't it? But
It'd be close.
yeah, I'd say probably in the '60s it was 3 Mile Island, but as we get now more into it, The Simpsons is probably doing it. But yeah, Marge versus the Monorail, penned by Conan O'Brien, really is one of those eternal things. Anytime I bring up a monorail in a Discord server that isn't the well, there's your problem server, gifts from Marge versus the Monorail follow it, even to this
Hmm.
day. So it's definitely a cultural touchstone for a generation or two. So
I I do like the versatility of that one line. Mono equals one, and rail means rail, and then that's immediately followed up with congratulations, you've completed the intensive 3 week course because that one line right there can be applied to any training I have ever received on a job.
that's me getting scissor lift training. They sent I went through www.scissorliftacademy.com and they sent me a PowerPoint that didn't work. They sent me a
Hell
PDF
yeah.
of a PowerPoint that was corrupted halfway through, and then you can just guess the answers until you get them right on the test.
Oh, brilliant.
Even better, they also run www.forkliftacademy.com, and so I did that one too. That one, the PowerPoint worked.
You
I'm
Slight
forklift
aside, talking about
certified.
shitty training. Talking about shitty training. I had to do a recertification class today, and at one point the instructor said, "What's required to be an engineer?" And he listed off like all these certain training requirements. And then he said, "And everybody has to get these except for you because you are grandfathered in." And he pointed at the guy sitting next to me, and it's a guy with a lot of seniority. And I looked at him funny, and he just kind of shrugged. And I said, "No, no, what do you mean you don't have to go through that training because you're grandfathered in?" And he goes, "Well, they just when I started, we were really short staffed, and one night they needed somebody to run an engine, so they gave me a crash course, and that's how I got started. Then I did that long enough that I had enough hours to get a certification, and at that time classroom training wasn't required, so I haven't ever gone to engineer school." It's like, oh, that explains quite a
God,
bit.
God bless the old days of railroading when you could just look eager near the yard, and if they were really short, they'd say, "Do you want to learn how to drive an
Oh,
engine?"
yeah, you want to give this a try? Come on.
That's British Rail in about 1967. It's like, "Oi, you guy with a notebook, do you want to drive this fucking steam engine before we send it to the scrapyard?"
Can you work a shovel? Come here.
And I promise you from experience that I would beat someone to death for the opportunity.
Yes. Oh yes.
Rabid dogs would not keep me away from the cab of a steam engine. It's like, "You want me
I
to
love
shove?"
dogs. I love dogs, but those dogs are going down. Get
Uh-huh.
out of my way.
So, so yeah. But anyway, so this sort of visage right here is why nobody really takes monorails all too seriously, at least in the Western world, because over in the Eastern world, in certain places they take them far more seriously. On the
Now, I would fight off the pack of rabid dogs just to get a chance to run a more serious monorail.
Well, if you feel like learning Mandarin, you can go to Chongqing. Uh, because Chongqing, China, I have followed a guy on. I don't follow him, but I've seen his videos of a tour guide in Chongqing, where he shows you
That
exactly.
might be Chongqing.
I
And
definitely
I
don't know.
promise I'm not being racist. I'm
No,
pretty sure I know somebody adopted from there, and I think she says Chongqing.
you may be right. I have watched this guy's videos. I'm trying to remember how he pronounced it. It's Chongqing. It is an incredibly mountainous city in China that is perfectly within the same mold as Ahmedabad, India. Of you have never heard of this city. 3 billion people live there. It is the biggest, most culturally advanced place you will ever see in your life. And at no point will you could you. And if you put a gun to my head, I couldn't tell you where it is. You know,
The only reason I know it exists is because I know a woman who is from there,
yeah,
and that's it.
I saw it on Instagram. It's phenomenal looking. If it wasn't for current political events, I'd love to go there. But
Yep.
basically, Chongqing is built into a valley, a very steep one. So there's whole videos of like, just keep turning left at every intersection and you will end up like 1,000 feet down as the road just slowly spirals down. There are like apartment blocks where like the roof is a parking garage, but also the ground floor. Um, and
Oh,
things like that. It's like they have some of the deepest subway stations in the world, and also like you can go like almost 3/4 of a mile down an escalator, like down through a series of escalators and hallways to get to them. It's insane. Uh, and so monorails are very integral to Chongqing. Lines 2 and 3 are some of the longest monorail lines in the world. I think like they're I can't remember if it's kilometers or miles, but the number 40, like 40 kilometers or 40 miles or something. Um,
oh hell yes.
because modern monorails, modern Alweg style monorails, are are they have the rubber tires, so they can climb really easily. They have electric motors. They have a lot of torque. They can go through tighter spaces really quietly. This, and while going uphill, this is something that you need when you're in an insane city like Chongqing. Like, look at these pictures. These are not
The
places
elevation difference is very obvious.
you cannot thread. They have regular heavy rail lines, but not everywhere can be serviced by a a train, and they are basically as far as most people get into heavy rail monorails. This is a monorail that is playing at heavy rail, as opposed to most places which use them as a replacement for light rail. Over in Japan as well, they take them very seriously because the Japanese just will have a gadget bond for every occasion, like some people do hats. Um, Osaka has apparently a very large network that I didn't find out about until I was reading this, but they have a huge network of monorails, or at least a big enough one that it's the biggest in Japan, um, that runs all over. I don't know a whole lot about this because, and then Tokyo has a really big one that runs out to Haneda Airport. That is again playing at being heavy rail. It's I think the second longest monorail system in the world after Chongqing, however we want to pronounce it. Please do not at me. But
Adam, I dare you.
please don't. But anyway, so this is where we're coming from with monorails in Asia. Also, and then we'll get into more in the next slide as to why monorails are better than any other form of rail transit. So monorails are generally a lot. Well, okay, in certain circumstances, monorails are better. So especially in urban settings. So this top picture here is the Sydney monorail that is sadly no longer in operation, but we'll get to that. They're generally quieter than traditional rail transit, especially in cities. Because of how the beamway is designed, they're usually grade separated out of necessity, which means that and then they're which means that they can get through downtown cores faster. They fill a gap between heavy and light rail. I have usually in there because Chongqing and Tokyo are really trying to not have a gap be there. And then, as I said earlier, rubber tires allow for better acceleration, and smaller curves, and by extension, smaller cars in the monorail allow for a lot tighter turning radius. So you can see this the Sydney monorail is making basically just a 90-degree turn around the street. And
Damn
then
near. That's impressive.
yeah, and then the bottom picture is actually one that I took at the most recent CES in Las Vegas, and you can just see that the Las Vegas monorail is just scaling this really steep elevation over the top of part of the Las Vegas Convention Center before continuing back down the other side towards the end of the line. Which, Zach, you drive trains for a living. This is not a long distance. Could you get something up that much of a grade just from a standing stop?
How far back am I stopped?
So
Am I at the bottom? No, we're not getting there.
to give you an idea, the photograph is being taken from the station. So
Good God.
So so yeah,
Might get the motors over.
yeah. So this is something that the monorails can do, because monorails are also electric multiple units, so that every wheel is powered. Basically, it's something that you can do fairly easily. You can slot them through weird spaces. Like if we go to the next slide.
That is the exact thing I was thinking about.
Monorails
right.
can go through buildings. So this upper picture is Chongqing. This is, I believe, line 2 going through an apartment building. You've seen it online. And it can. It's just incredibly quiet, and it doesn't make a lot of vibrations or noises. I mean, it makes some, but it's not going to be like, imagine getting like a flat spotted train through a building, just bang, 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 bang.
Bam, 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 bam.
And then meanwhile,
technically possible with a rubber tired vehicle, but much less almost infinitely less likely to happen.
Yeah. And then on the other side, we've got the far more well-known example, the Contemporary Resort at Disney World, where they run the monorail right through it.
Can
Again,
I make a guilty confession?
yeah,
When my wife and I decided to do our splurge trip and go to Disney World, I paid way more than what I really should have budgeted for a hotel in the or for a room in the Contemporary just so I could watch
that's
the monorail all the time.
that's valid. I agree with that.
Ever since I went there as a little kid with my family, I was like, I want to stay there, and we didn't, and I finally did that. Next time I'm staying somewhere way cheaper. Fuck that.
Oh yeah,
I
no,
did it once. It's out of my system.
I've heard bad reviews about the Contemporary Resort in recent years. It's a little bit more overpriced than what you get.
Oof.
But
Yeah.
but yeah, and something else that I didn't mention is that generally the concrete guideways of a monorail combined with the rubber tired suspension means that you can get a little bit more play in what the system actually can withstand before you have to start replacing guideway beams. Like, if you get like a minute kink in your railroad track, that's the train coming off. But suspension in a monorail can handle a couple of bumps. It's
Yep.
also pre-stressed concrete is lighter and cheaper and smaller footprint, so you can do a lot more with less. Provide and I'm putting a big asterisk next to this. If if the system is acceptable for the need, this is like if you want to replace a bus, you could use a monorail. Do not think that I am advocating for like replacing the Northeast Corridor with monorails. Okay, that's not
Coward.
what I'm saying. That would be awesome, but that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that in applications where where it would actually make sense, like streetcar lines, because if you're a monorail floats above downtown quietly and silently, you don't have to pound a streetcar line directly down the median or directly down the street. That sort of thing. If you get what I'm saying.
Europe.
But anyways, on to the next slide. Let's there we go. On to the next slide. Now let's hope these animations stayed in this time, Zach.
I didn't touch them. I didn't touch them.
Why are monorails worse? This is a very interesting because obviously some people have different opinions on monorails. The word gadget bond exists for a reason. So to start with, we have all of these things. Mandatory grade separation. Obviously, monorails sort of exist in an elevated track that, you have to build a viaduct or something like that to get it to go. If you build it at ground level, it's going to be the Listowel and Ballymoty or God, I can't remember the name of it. I feel bad, but you're going to have to do something really stupid. You could also build it in a tunnel, but that's dumb.
That's unnecessarily complicated. Yep.
So don't do that. You also need complicated track switches. So if you're like switching, because you have to like switch guideways and physically move bits of the track back and forth, it's a whole thing. Elevated evacuations are always going to be more of a thing. Oh, also you have a different gauge, necessarily bespoke guideways and track gauges, which means you're kind of locked into a manufacturer. And you can't always get parts as opposed to an off the shelf thing from like a railroad supply house. Then you've got to deal with elevated.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to shop around for parts.
And then you have to then you have your elevated evacuations, which are always going to be a bitch. There's like slides and things involved, or like ladder and hook and ladder trucks. You have a lack of space in the cars for the monorail because, especially with the AWEG design, how the straddle beam monorail usually works is that each car is its own compartment with the wheels directly behind the end of the passenger compartment. So there's no way to actually get between the cars. So this means that you really don't have any sort of freedom to move between the different cars in the train. Because they run basically in a Jacob's Bogey style, it's hard to separate the cars as well, but that's de minimis. That's more of a thing that you can run into now with multiple units as well.
And that's because you're not able to go from section to section or car to car in a monorail, that also contributes to why they're able to take such tight turns.
Yes.
Because with that articulation, you just have to make sure the corners of each car don't touch each other when you go around there. You don't also have to make sure that there is a clear and safe passage between them. And if you don't have to worry about that, man, you open up
Yeah.
lot more tight turns.
Yeah. And then finally, a lot of monorail systems, because they're seen as a novelty, because they're seen as this theme park thing, there's no transit connections to them. There's a monorail that exists and then nothing else. Like the Sydney monorail went away because they didn't connect it to any of the major commuter train stations and they didn't connect it to any ferry terminals. I think there might have been bus things, but like there was nothing there. They ran it around the CBD and like to the new Darling Harbor like tourist area, and it's like congrats, you're going from someplace no one lives to someplace no one lives. So you're and so it fizzled at the end of it because they didn't build the onward connections. There's no single seat rides. And if you notice, all of these pictures don't look like monorails because it's just BART. Everything I said here is just BART in San Francisco.
Yep. Yep.
This is 1000% something that happens on heavy rail systems too. BART has a huge elevated portion. The complicated switching thing that I just showed is the flyovers that they built to get into San Francisco Airport. They run 5'6" gauge on BART for some fucking reason.
Ah, yes. Good old who was it? Brunel gauge?
I don't even know what 5'6" is. I don't, but most subway and as a result they have to have elevated evacuations. They also have to have grade separated I'm sorry, not grade separated, like tunnel evacuations, and every single rapid transit system is grade separated except for the Chicago L in like 3 spots. Everything else is 100% grade separated because most rapid transit systems run on third rail. And so you can't really deal with that except for Chicago, which is insane because, but I think it's because they had legacy interurban tracks that they had to deal with. And then even Cleveland, which has like, I don't even, it's not baby's first transit system. It's something far weirder than that, but they have overhead lines and it's still not, and it's still grade separated on the red line. So it's not that. And then on top of that, most subway systems really ask that passengers refrain from changing cars while the train is in motion because you could fall and die. So that's really like the lack of mobility between cars is not nearly as important. And lack of transit connection single seat rides. This photograph at the bottom is the BART to E-BART connection.
I hate that.
I hate it
Why is
too.
that a different thing?
That's why it's on here because I want to make fun of it. I don't know why they did this, but to extend whichever BART line it is at what is it here, Pittsburgh Bay Point, out a little bit further, they didn't just extend the existing BART line out. Instead, they have this weird thing where it's a single track BART station that like the trains terminate at. It's in the middle of a highway. You can't board from outside the system. It's a cross-platform connection to a diesel-powered Stadler Flirt, Kiss, Wink, one of those rail car things that then goes a little bit further down the line for a few more stations. I don't know why it exists. I don't know why it's called E-BART when it's a diesel. It's just stupid. But again, like
Nothing about it makes sense.
lack of transit connection single seat rides, I present to you the Greater Cleveland Rapid Transit Agency, which manages to have anti-transit oriented development along the blue and green lines. Like anything, like every complaint, like most of these complaints against monorails exist in other conventional systems. You just think they're a gadget bond because all you ever remember is Roller Coaster Tycoon. I'm saying that.
I am curious. So BART is considered heavy rail, just a heavy rail service. The E-BART
Don't tell me it's light rail.
is No, it's not light rail, but I'm wondering if to make it even goofier, I'm having to check. Bait. I wonder if because that is classified as commuter rail, if they have to be FRA certified, which is then a completely different set of training than what the BART crews would get.
It
And if that's the case, then the e-BART would have to be more expensive to run because you'd have to have both an engineer and commuter.
it's so stupid. I bet they did that. I don't.
I
I genuinely don't know why they did this. I'm sure there's like a reason, but like somebody built the Boynton Bicycle Railway too. That's not a good reason.
who runs it? I mean, if it's Herzog running it, then we already know. But I can't find out who actually runs the damn thing.
I think it's internal. I think it might just be Bart.
I'll be shocked.
Like they do everything in house because they also have the cable liner shuttle Bart that runs out of San Francisco Airport. That's technically a
Huh?
BART service as well. It's not. Is it a cable liner or is it something else? That one's not even a gadget bond. That's just a people mover. So
Damn, I cannot find anything.
it's please add us in the comments if you know. But anyways, and then so I have some rebuttals to the points I just made. I'm truly making up my own straw man. If we go to the next slide, monorails can do most of these things. Where is the? Do I have the? There it is. So we have here a couple of images. So the top left image is inside of one of the Chongqing monorails, and as you can see, it's an open gangway design.
Oh, that's rad.
So Chongqing can do all of that and have people flowing through the train. Uh, it's fucking rad as hell. But yeah, open gangway monorails are entirely possible, even using the all-weg design. So not really a big thing. And then down at the in the center bottom is the transportation and ticket center at Walt Disney World, which is a combination monorail, bus, parking, and tram and ferry um, center.
It's a
One
true transit hub.
110% and a transit center because it is legitimately what it is. It's a it if you put effort into it, it is 100% a it's 110% just normal. It monorails can have ongoing connection, can have outbound services. It's all fine.
And it actually, unless you're parking way out there in that paved hellscape, the general flow through this whole thing is really good. It's you don't get a bunch of crowd bunching. The signage is great, so you know where to go depending on which mode of transportation you're looking to get, and it was easy enough to figure out that after going through it like 3 times, I had it down pat and didn't have to look at the signs.
Hmm. Okay. And and yeah, and then up here at the top we have I'm sorry, yeah. The yeah, so the onward connections. It's just if you do it right, Disney World is one of the busiest monorail systems in the US. It is the busiest monorail system in the US cuz it actually just sort of works.
It works so well for what it is.
It even
The
had
the only thing that I'll give as a downside to it is that the main loop that goes to most of the parks and the resorts that it stops at is monodirectional. So if you stay at the wrong hotel, you have to go through like the entire loop to get to certain parks. But
okay.
you're riding on a monorail, so it's cool to be on there longer.
Yeah. It's It's a whole thing, and you can absolutely make it. And like you can even see like track switches are complicated. Disney actually runs entirely off of track switches. You can see right next to the thing that says MK Monorail Station is a fully functioning track switch that works all day.
Hmm.
That just shuttles between the different loops. And then speaking of track switches, let's go up to this video, which is a
Yeah.
time lapse of the Osaka monorail at a big transfer station. It's a couple of minutes long.
But I'm looking at it had a timestamp for 2:52. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah, just hit play.
Okay, good. Dude, I love these little things. They look so
Mm-hmm.
cool.
Yeah.
They
And
just slide over.
I love that you can see the couplings on the front of the monorails, which indicates they can, if they choose to, multiple
Yeah.
unit them.
Yes. It is so neat.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you want more monorail? You can get more monorail.
Yeah. Just throw another monorail on the fire if you have a big day.
Well, maybe don't do that one.
Don't throw it on the fire. Throw it into the metaphorical fire.
Okay, fine. But I do like these little multi-segment stretches that are a bunch of little tiny segments that just kind of flip and move, and you get that great articulation. I am curious how it feels to ride through one of these switches, and if there is any noticeable difference just in the vibrations going through these spots.
I bet it feels like going over a double slip switch or something like that. Like
I'm not sure.
like
I'll
okay.
bet you if you can feel it, it's way less. Not necessarily curvature of going through, but like feeling the joints in those segments.
Yeah, like no, the instant you said that I was struck back to I was reading a book on the old United Aircraft turbo train, and apparently what kids liked to do on that, if you remember that, it like if you remember that, it's the high speed train from the 60s
Thing
with the jet engines.
that thing that was scrapped like 25 plus years before I was born. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I do. I love that thing. That thing is like my beloved. But um but the anyways, apparently kids when they were riding into Montreal and it would stand in the vestibule and get thrown from wall to wall going over the double slip switches.
Jesus Christ.
Hmm.
Goddamn kids are dumb. But I
No,
get it. That does sound fun.
but yeah, it definitely sounds like a bit of a bouncy ride, but it also seems fun. So, if we want to go on to, let me just make sure I have the next slide queued up. Yep, here we go. Are monorails safe?
Hey, we might want to pick this up a little bit. We're an hour and a half in, 18 slides out of 55.
Okay, most of them will go faster. Okay,
All
are
right.
monorails safe? Yes, or at least as safe as any other transit system. So this is just a grab bag of a bunch of different monorail accidents that have happened over time. I will point out that out of all of these, two had fatalities. Okay, three. I'm sorry, three had any sort of fatalities, and only two of them were two passengers. So starting up on the
I only know one of these having fatalities. I'm curious what the other two are.
so up at the
Oh, are you counting 1950?
no no I'll tell we'll go through it. So
Go on, go on, go on, go on, go on, go
upper
on, go on. Sorry, my
upper
bad.
upper upper right is the monorail on fire. That is the 1968 San Antonio Hemisphere monorail that did not have a very good fare experience. These trains were very early monorails. I believe they were designed by a company called Monorail Incorporated or something like that, or they were like based off of like a Von Roll design. I can't
Oh
remember.
God.
I can't remember. Well, it's 1968. That was new at the time, but that's actually what the like old style monorail and roller coaster tycoon was designed after. But one of the trains caught fire, and then, as you can see in the one below it, um, a a it actually two trains collided when one backed into the other and fell off the track, and I
Oh,
believe one woman was killed when she was thrown from the train as it fell off the track.
Oh.
1980. Then below that one, 1985 at Disney World, Monorail Silver caught fire. Very treacherous evacuation. Apparently, the people had to exit out of roof hatches and were either trapped on the roof of the train further down the further down the at the other end of the train, or they slid down the nose or were standing on the beam.
Hell yeah.
2005 in Seattle, the Seattle Center monorail, the OG Alweg design, the tracks had been moved closer together to allow for building construction nearby, and so they basically created an informal gauntlet track. The two trains bonked into each other because they were signaled incorrectly.
Just a little boop.
Just a little boop.
It's fine.
2009, going across the screen on the bottom, Disney World monorail, Monorail Coral and Monorail Purple collided after an improperly signaled shunting move and an improperly set switch sent, I believe, Monorail Coral backing into Monorail Purple, which killed the driver of Monorail Purple.
Yes.
Then up at the top, we've got the two accidents in Wuppertal. In 1950, Tuffy the elephant was brought on board the train as a promotion for a circus that was in town. Tuffy did not like this. Tuffy stampeded out of the car, out the sidewall of the car, and fell down to the river Whooper below, where she was fine. This photograph does not show the actual event. It was a later 1950s Photoshop. And then,
but hey, we finally got to see the Kaiserwagen.
That's not the Kaiserwagen. That's just what they all looked like at the time.
What? Yeah. Oh, God damn! Return with a V. We need more design like this.
And then, in the other one, the 1999 Wuppertal disaster is probably the worst one of the bunch in terms of passenger fatalities. I have to actually remember how many people were killed. Yeah, 5 people died. So basically what happened was, this one could be an episode of itself that I would love to cover, but basically this was the first train of the morning on the monorail, or the Schwebebahn.
Oh, I remember how this went. Oh, God.
A maintenance crew overnight had been doing track work, and I don't exactly know what they had to do in order to do it, but there was what is described as a clamp was left on the running rail, and the train actually, it was described as a claw, and the train hit it. This ripped out this knocked the train from the track in such a way, I believe, that the monorail body separated from the truck, fell into the river, landing thankfully on top of a pipeline structure that was crossing the river as well, at which point the monorail wheel and body, like bogie assembly, fell and landed on the monorail and crashed through it. So 5 people died in that accident. Unless there's some horrible disaster in China that I could not find an English language source for, that's one of the worst ones.
That
if not the worst one.
I think they were all acquitted, but I remember reading about how everybody that was on that work crew was charged with manslaughter.
Yeah.
I think one for each person that died there.
I don't remember.
I think they were acquitted, but I don't.
That sounds about right.
But I mean, on-track safety includes cleanup, so
yeah, seems like they just forgot. And so, anyways, we're now going to go on to, after a mere 16 slides, into the main meat of this episode. Let's see if I can. There we go. 17 slides. Is it going to come over? There we go.
This the assassination of the Las Vegas monorail by the coward Reality.
Yes. I would like it noted I haven't seen the
Did you
movie, so I don't know if Brad Pitt is the appropriate person to put the Vegas Monorail logo over.
did uh did you have fun with this little bit of Photoshop?
Yes, I did.
If you're listening to this, you need to go when you get a chance, go find the video and just come up to roughly, where are we? An hour and 34 minutes, just so you can see Joe's handiwork.
Yeah. I like it. That was what I was thinking. I love stupid edits like this, but anyway, so the monorail system in Las Vegas is a two-part nonsense that sort of each part informs the next. So, starting off, the 1995 Bally's MGM Grand Monorail. So, this was a system. This was private enterprise making a people mover, basically. So, there's a great video of this on YouTube that I was just going to link in here, and absolutely the YouTube video uploader would not let it be shown on other websites. So
Ooh,
could not have that be
are
embedded into this.
are these all-wheel vehicles?
These are Disney World vehicles. These are
Oh yeah, they're all-wheel.
yeah. These are ex Disney World monorail cars.
They look wider.
They are the exact same. It's just that the paint probably does a bit. So remember how we were saying that like it's a little bit more difficult to get like spares and like equipment commonality between like with monorails because it's such a bespoke system. Remember how I said that like 5 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago?
I
Uh,
mean, I guess if you're gonna build a monorail, use the same one that Disney World does, and then you'll
the
have parts for
the Las
a
Vegas
while.
the Las Vegas monorail to this day is using trains based off of the Disney system. Uh,
Not a bad move.
so they like even shared orders when they ordered the new ones. But
Hell yeah.
these were retired Disneyland monorails. I don't remember which colors they are. If you're a Disney nerd, you probably already know that. You can see on this other picture of just the car by itself where the wheels are, which is why you can't have an open gangway train on some of these designs. Um, because that's
You can make a super thin corridor through there. You can side shuffle through that.
you
I'm
think the
sure.
average Las Vegas tourist could do that?
I didn't account for the America factor.
Yes. So yeah, this system originally ran from, as the names suggest, the MGM Grand Hotel to the Bally's Hotel, which actually makes it an MGM Grand to MGM Grand because the Bally's building was the original MGM Grand that caught fire in the in the 80s. So Bally's to MGM. Uh, they because these were internal people movers, internal hotel shuttles, they ran out of the back. At the time, the MGM Grand had a theme park out behind the hotel, which I think now is part of where the Hilton Grand Vacations building is. So the operators for this were local teenagers who, when they weren't running the monorail, were running like theme park rides. Which
Oh
must have been a
wow.
hell of a thing if you were like a foamer in 90s Vegas. You could just get a job at the
Right.
theme park and get to drive a monorail. Um, it was 100% private. It was not meant to be mass transportation. The Disneyland monorails at the time were had bench seats, so it was each car is like a row of benches, and every door swings open. It's closer to an old style British compartment coach than it is
Yes.
anything else. Um, this system was very popular. It was also very no frills. So you see how there's one train that says MGM Grand and one train that says Bally's on it. Those trains didn't ever leave that track. They just went. They were bi-directional. They went there and back. There was a maintenance building at the Bally's, that they drove into, and they just terminated at the MGM Grand. So,
Well, which means if they were bi-directional, no, they got it from Disney World. Never mind. Disney World's bi-directional,
yeah.
or they have bi-directional trains. I was thinking of Disneyland. Those are
I actually know
unidirectional.
next to nothing about the Disneyland monorail system.
I was wondering if they had to like kit bash trains and get an extra cab section and
I don't think
cut it in.
I don't think
But
so.
I like I said, I got Disney World and
Yeah.
Disneyland monorails
Yeah,
mixed
this
up. If
was,
they're Disney World, then
as far
they're
as I can tell
they're
from
fine.
my research, this was 100% off the shelf. This was a turnkey. This took like 18 months to go
Plug and
from
play, baby.
to go from to go from bare earth to complete monorail,
We
which
could have had this. We
is
could have had
on
this everywhere.
which is honestly really impressive and is like,
Yes,
and
it is.
Las Vegas is such a fake city that a monorail makes sense. And I'll get more into this as we go on. Let's see, what's the next slide? Ah, yes.
Oh,
So,
hey, it's John Goodman.
do you know who this small child is?
I'm gonna take a wild guess and say that that's Baby Joe.
Yes, it is. That is me, age 4, in the year 2000. That is that is me with my parents on the Las Vegas monorail. I was going through some pictures to digitize them, and I found these, and I was shocked because I recognized the gold and green livery of the MGM Grand monorail, and I was like, no way.
What's
So,
hilarious is that having seen you face to face, I knew when I was just scrolling through these earlier that it was definitely you, and those were definitely your parents because there's so much of your mom and your dad
uh-huh.
both that show up in you right now. It's kind of hilarious.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And this is 25 years ago, so not much has changed except my height. But actually for Halloween a couple years ago, I did just dress as dad.
Is your
It
dad also as tall as you are?
I am an inch taller than he is.
Oh my God, that's still big.
I dressed as him for Halloween. Mom got us 2 sets of the same clothes. It was hilarious. So
That's a good prank right there.
mhm. So yeah, this is the Disney to MGM like conversion in action in period. I'm really pumped that I found these. I found some other pictures of us on, I guess, what must have been like the Treasure Island to Mirage People Mover tram, which is in no way similar, but similar in the same idea of like it's a coaster, it's a property to property mover, which is what this was. There, for those
Yeah.
of you who haven't been to Las Vegas, there's actually like 5 of these things across the strip. So there's the MGM Grand. There was the Aria Express, which runs through the city center complex. I think there's another one inside the city center complex, but I can't remember the name. There, and these are all like either like cable liner shuttles or some other like weird people mover. So the monorail being there would not have been any different. Um, at the same time, there would soon be the Mandalay Bay to Luxor and Excalibur cable liner, and then there was one other that I can't remember, the Treasure Island to Mirage one. I don't even know what that one was. That one just closed last year when the Mirage closed up shop, because the Mirage closed to
Oh,
become the Hard Rock Hotel. And then
oh God.
they're going to put it, they tore down the volcano and they're putting up a giant guitar. I'm very displeased. Um,
Uh,
and
uh,
then
I hate this timeline.
on top of that, right around this time, it would have actually been removed. But when the Luxor first opened, they had an internal people mover that was Nile River barges, like in a canal with water.
Uh, okay.
The
All
Luxor,
right. That's
if
that's
you ever want to spend half an hour of your life, there is videos on the internet that are like internal, like Circus Enterprises promotional videos, how they built the Luxor. No matter how insane and outrageous you think it is, it's more. Like they
I'm gonna have to
seriously
go. I'm
they
gonna have to go look for these videos.
they seriously were going they seriously had and built an interior canal system to drive passengers from the check-in, to drive guests from the check-in to the elevators and like around the base, while at the same time giving educational tips about the pharaohs. They pulled it out within 3 or 4 years because you've built a river indoors. The humidity cannot
You've
fix that. The humidity cannot be fixed.
you've also built a river in a desert.
No, no.
That has to be expensive.
They didn't build a river in the desert. They built a river inside the building.
Inside the building in the deserts,
Yeah.
but all that water was expensive.
Yeah, I mean, it's 90s, everything. The environment didn't exist in the 90s.
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
This was like
21st century.
1993. Nobody cared. But yeah, if we go
The ones who did were just nut jobs.
Oh yeah, and Al Gore. But he was too busy inventing the internet to really care about the whales yet. The whales had to email him on the internet he invented.
Oh my God. What's the next slide?
The next slide, if we go to it, is what's left nowadays of the original MGM Grand Bally's monorail. So these are two of these are photos taken by me. The monorail maintenance building it's now called the Horseshoe, the hotel, because they got rid of the Bally's a few years ago, but it's still behind the Bally's building, tucked in between there and the Paris, Las Vegas. They use it for facilities crews now. So there's just, when I was there, like a guy in a golf cart drove out with some plumbing supplies on the back of it. As for the image down below, that's a still from a YouTube video. Apparently at least the Bally's train was out in the desert somewhere in a layup yard in like North Las Vegas, and somebody bought it and shipped it off to like a fab shop. I don't know what they're doing with it, but they were just there for a while. Like,
oh hell yeah! I just pulled up the maintenance barn on Google Maps and I got it on Street View on the first try.
Yep. Oh yeah, no.
I do like how both bays are labeled Track 1.
Well, I mean, they never could switch them.
Yeah, if you don't have any switches, then I guess you could count them as separate systems, and each one is a single track system.
Yeah, but this system ran until about 2002 or two. Okay, so construction on the massively expanded system started in 2001, but I believe they did not disconnect the existing monorail until 2002. I could be wrong though. I'm willing to be wrong by about a year. So if we go to the next slide, we've got a lot of text and a lot of information because while I was doing research for this, I'm going to level with you people. I had always thought that the main reason why the Vegas Monorail didn't get much further was the taxi cab lobby. Because I kind of assumed that, the cabbies wouldn't like an actual transportation system. And that might be true, but what I hadn't realized was that we have to deal with an absolutely normal man. An absolutely normal man named Robert N. Broadbent. So a lot of this comes from a Las Vegas Review-Journal post that I found called Next Stop Suckerville. Which I just said a post, but it was originally posted on a blog run by the Review Journal, so that counts.
Hell yeah.
But so essentially Robert N. Broadbent, who actually the monorail was named after him, once it got finished, he was, I'm going to call him Monorail Huey Long. So he did a bunch of different government positions throughout Nevada. He helped found Boulder City, what I read was to be believed. Essentially, he had a dream of building a monorail. I don't know whether he made that up after the fact or not, but the monorail was going to be built. Because this isn't normal corruption, guys. This is not like This is not like, oh, we're grifting to. This is not like how corruption in Vegas usually works, where like there's a grift, but at the end of it, there's a physical product that you can gamble at. This guy was on like the Z axis of of corruption. The monorail, like nothing was really like he got all of his permits and everything, and he got all the clearances with very little governmental opposition because he was in the government. Like they got huge federal grants to do some of this because he knew Harry Reid very closely. They were political enemies that then became friends once they made up. So, I can't do this justice. You need to read Next Stop Suckerville. There's an archive.org copy if you don't want to, because I assume there's a paywall on the actual article. I have everything on the screen if you want to do that. There was a lot of debt and a lot of bonds issued for this. Those definitely will not come back to haunt anyone. Except for when they did almost immediately, because they made a critical mistake, is that they relied on Bombardier. So,
Ooh.
so they got the tracks built. They extended north out of the Bally's station, stopping along the way at the Flamingo, at what was at that point the Imperial Palace, and then going on to the Convention Center and then the Sahara. You might notice a couple of hotels are missing from that list. Steve Wynn thought that the monorail was ugly, and he didn't want it running over his golf course. So there was no stop at what would have then been the Desert Inn, I think, but now is the Wynn. Sheldon Adelson, who owned Las Vegas Sands, was a vocal proponent, which is why I assume it did not stop at the Venetian, and was a vocal opponent of it, which is why there was no stop. I assume that's why there was no stop at the Venetian. And then, for reasons that remain inexplicable to me, they did not decide to extend it south to the Luxor or the Mandalay Bay. But I'm assuming because their next plan was to extend the monorail system to the airport. Now, which is the opposite
nice
direction. Now, the problem is that they relied on Bombardier. So if you can see in this center picture, bits kept falling off of the train. Bits kept falling.
Which parts? Which parts? This is the important part. Which parts?
Important ones.
It's always the important ones. Damn it.
So, as an example, a rubber tire, like a tire, fell off the monorail at one point.
Oop. Oop.
Apparently, they failed to act on 149 warnings about unstable wheel assembly. A drive shaft fell off of a monorail. A 30-foot section of third rail fell off the tracks, among other things. They were losing money hand over fist. There was also a phase 2 plan to go north to like Fremont Street and actually into Las Vegas. But obviously that fell through too, because the federal government lost their nerve at this point. And at the same time, I forget which one of the credit agencies it was, the monorail, the construction company, Transit Systems Management, they just had their debt and bonds just ranked lower and lower and lower as this all went on. Because what does it say on this article? $85,000 a day in lost revenue.
That's a painful amount.
Eventually they get it going, and 53,000 daily riders were anticipated. Actual ridership 30,000. It was replaced by the non-profit, and I use that with quotation marks because they sure got a lot of government help. That a lot of government bailout for that, but while still not being publicly owned. Las Vegas Monorail Company, which was run by a lot of people who were formerly employed by Transit Systems Management. Also, in all of this, you'll notice that Robert N. Broadbent's name has a year and then a dash and then another year after it. He died before the monorail opened, which is why a lot of these extensions did not happen, because he presumably had the dirt. Like, nobody else was going to suck off Harry Reid and get more money. So he so that so like the Fremont Street extension did not happen. And if we go to the what I hope is the correct next slide, we will see, yep, here we go. So on the at the top right corner, you'll see me and my dad in 2005, shortly after the monorail must have opened.
I'm noticing a pattern here.
I found these in the photo albums. I don't have any more of them, but I found these in the photo albums, and I was like, I have to use these. This must have been brand new at the time. But also, kudos to my mom for using APS film, so it has the date hard encoded into it.
Nice.
But this sort of meant that the Vegas Monorail was sort of confined to its phase one, which was around a 4-mile system that went from the MGM Grand to the Sahara, and it just is kind of embarrassing. Like, at the Sahara station, there's a stub track that reaches northwards like a hand from a dead body that'll never reach the next step. At the south end, the monorails like stop at the MGM Grand station and then disappear around a corner that's supposed to go to the airport, and then like 2 minutes later they magically come back with because that's where the cross track is. So it's
oh no.
And then if you look at the picture on the bottom left, I actually took this in 2020, right before COVID, because I was out there for CES 2020. And you can just see how big the station is compared to how big the train is. And this is every station on the network.
So optimistic.
I am almost certain that the doors at the north end of this station have never been opened. Or if they have, it's only been for maintenance purposes. Like, half the station has just never been used.
It's just a sad, forgotten corner.
No, you have to walk through that because the escalators spit you out at the north. You usually have to walk through the entire station because the escalators are at one end or the other. And then the other photo in this is not mine. That's from Wikipedia. Actually, both of these photos are from Wikipedia because I put the other one on Wikipedia, but this one is not mine, taken from Wikipedia.
Oh.
From a few years ago, from I think 2010, which shows the monorail trains in their unbranded state because they got a lot of branding. They wrapped the trains very frequently to raise money, but
I mean, easy money.
Yeah, and then you can see up at the top, there is a that's what the original monorail logo was, which you can also see behind my dad's head.
That is cool. I do kind of like that one.
I love that logo so much. But anyway, moving on, we almost had a monorail, but then we took a recession to the knee. Because Las Vegas, just as a whole, sort of took a dive after the recession, which, again, for those of you who haven't been there, I cannot stress how bad the recession was for Las Vegas. The north end of the Strip had, at the time of the recession hitting, like 3 very prominent hotel constructions going on, which was what would replace the Stardust, another one in a lot across the street, and then I think there was another one a little bit further up, and none of those got completed. And they were vacant from like 2008 until 2019. And so there was just like, what was even better is like some of these got like the one across the street. That one is now the Fontainebleau Las Vegas. That one was complete. Like, they built the building, a 40-story hotel tower, and it was empty for almost a decade. There was like basically I walked the length of the strip when I went in 2020, and going from like the Wynn to the Sahara was like sketchy because there was almost nothing there between them because all of those hotels were gone. Now they're all open. That's the like the Resorts World and the Fontainebleau. I can't remember what the other construction was. That might have been something else, but those are all there now. Oh, and the convention center expansion because they knocked down the Riviera because the Riviera was ancient. But so that was the recession was really bad for Las Vegas. Like actually Chris Angel almost got the shit beat out of him as a result of it because he had his stupid
Chris Angel, Mind Freak.
he had his stupid Cirque du Soleil show, and I want to make sure I got this right, but I didn't look it up because I just thought of it now. I think Perez Hilton, famous poster from the early 2000s, is a massive Cirque du Soleil fan. And Perez Hilton called Chris Angel out on Twitter over the fact that his show sucked because it was a Cirque du Soleil show at the Luxor. And Chris Angel shit-talked Perez Hilton in the middle of the show the next night, like to his face. And so everybody was like, Chris, you can't do that. Like all the like everybody else in like the performer class in Las Vegas was like, what the fuck are you doing? You can't do that because like you can't give the town a bad name now. So
that was in the period where Perez Hilton was like all over the place, and he was incredibly influential for somebody who is basically a glorified blogger.
Yeah. I wish.
Well, no, he did some acting work. I forgot about that.
I low key sometimes I wish that I'd been born a little bit earlier so I could be famous for being a poster online when no one did that.
Oh yeah.
But anyways, so yeah, Las Vegas is in the toilet. The Las Vegas Monorail Company, as a result, enters bankruptcy protection in 2010. The proposed extensions to McCarran Airport and Fremont Street already did not exist, but they really stopped existing now. There had been lip service paid to a transit system for locals. Never happened. The bonds are failing like it's The Big Short. And in 2011, the Sahara closes. And so, like, the only reason you went to Sahara Station at that point was you either wanted to ride the monorail all the way to the end or you were going to the Stratosphere.
Hey, those count as visitors.
And I know, because I did both of them as a kid.
Monorail riders count as visitors.
Yes. And then to give you an idea of what this was viewed like, I found this. I don't know anything else about this article. I stopped at the Las Vegas Monorail is our Iraq.
God damn the gall of some of these so-called journalists, dude. That is imagine writing that with all earnest.
I can't. I love that so much. Like, just as like, just tell me how you really feel. But
that is a relic of that decade post 9/11 right there, and that everything was the worst thing that ever happened to America.
The Las Vegas
including
Monorail,
apparently the Las Vegas Monorail.
No, this is like a local Las Vegas newspaper. The Las Vegas Monorail is our Iraq. It's clear now it was a badly conceived idea. The naysayers were wrongly ridiculed as pessimists. The profiteers will never be held accountable. The expectations were, in hindsight, idiotic. The price was vastly underestimated. The crisis management was woefully inadequate. There were a few unlucky operational breaks along the way that didn't help matters much. Is he talking?
So I get the point that he's trying to make, but goddamn, I feel like comparing that to Iraq.
This sounds like
stretching it.
This sounds like a Twitter post by an urbanist who's never been outside of Lower Manhattan about the Las Vegas Loop.
Dude, if Drill could put together a couple of complete sentences, I would have expected this from Drill.
That's hilarious. But yeah, so yeah, no, everything is. It's really things are going strangely in Las Vegas as we go on to the next slide. In the meantime, let's console ourselves with some really cool draps on these trains.
I love that. I love the Monster Energy rap.
The Monster Energy rap. A lot of these are from like the 2000s and the 2010s. I don't know why they stopped doing them as elaborately before. I think it was just that it was all tech companies at that point. Like I went to CES this year and there was an AI company doing the rap, which wasn't as cool. But
Ugh,
so like
it's icky.
going around the horn, we've got a Monster Energy train. We've got a bright yellow sprint Nextel train. Um, in the center bottom is a Google wrapped train that this is my photo. I took this in 2020 because this was during CES. Um, this red one is the Bank of Nevada money rail, which I don't remember, but I found it. I found this incredibly low res picture. I'm like, that's great. And then up here,
That
up
is a nice red.
yeah, and then up here, up at the top, the Borg monorail. The Borg Invasion 4D at the Star Trek Experience at the Las Vegas Hilton, advertising monorail. I didn't put a picture of it inside, but they even had Borg logo. They even had like headshots of the Borg Queen and other Borg drones on the inside
Whoa,
of the
whoa,
cars on
whoa.
the end caps. I never saw
That
this one in person. I wish that when I was younger, I knew enough what Star Trek was that that I could have asked mom and dad to take me to the Star Trek experience.
right?
Because I did got into Star Trek way too late for that. But
Same.
man, that's fucking awesome. The Borgo rail.
I
But
can't. I can't find pictures of the inside.
you have to type in like Las Vegas monorail Borg monorail. Because hold on, I found it last night. Las Vegas monorail
Pardon us while we get sidetracked.
Las Vegas monorail Borg train.
Try
Yes,
that.
yes, here I found it. This was like an opening day train. That's why. It
Send me a link.
yeah,
Send
here
me a
I'll
link. I
send
need to see this. I'm not finding it.
here I'll send it. I'm putting it in the chat. Oh god, now I got to go and show this to the
Oh
people.
yes! Look at that
That
wallpaper.
resistance is oh, it went up the side too. I didn't realize that.
Hell yes.
No, don't
God damn. I'm gonna
resist.
have to show that to my wife.
It's super cool. But but yeah, that's the Borgo rail. That's that's the coolest thing they've ever done. I'm willing to bet. Uh, but anyway, and now, well, once we're done gawking over that, we're now going to enter cartography corner as we talk about maps. So this is the Las Vegas monorail, okay? And I need to explain to you, this is the current Las Vegas monorail system. Uh, and I need to explain to you, so remember how I said that it was like 30,000 people a day instead of 50,000 people a day? Do you notice that the
Sure.
monorail runs down the back of the strip on one side?
Oh,
That's why. So
that's a
because
critical
this
design flaw.
was an internal people shuttle originally.
Oh no, did I lose you? I can't hear you.
I can hear you just fine. Can you hear me?
All right, welcome to Technical Issue Corner with Zach. We're going to try to diagnose his issue remotely without even having so much as a screencast to what he's looking at. I am going to take a guess that for some reason, Discord has changed his input on him arbitrarily. And I'll bet you that right now, OBS is still recording his side of the episode, and he's listening to me babble, going, "What the fuck is he talking about?" I just got the message. I can hear you.
Oh no, my internet has gone out. Oh, this is bad. Oh no. Nah. Hold on. Wait, now my internet. Hang on, can you hear me now?
Hey, there you are.
I'm so sorry. Apparently the internet blipped for a second.
A few moments later.
Right. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. It seems like there was some form of internet fuck up on my end where the internet blipped. But anyways, so this is a map of the Las Vegas monorail. You can see that it only goes down one side. It goes down the east side of the strip. So this, for lack of a better term, sucks dick. Is what it does, because if we scroll over to the next slide, can you hear me still, Zach?
Yes, I can
Okay.
still hear you.
So this is my experience with the Las Vegas monorail system in January of this year. So I was staying at what is now the Horseshoe, but was the Bally's, which is not a great hotel. I should not have stayed there. But anyways, to get to the monorail from where my hotel room was, you have to walk down the entire length of the hotel tower, go down to the ground floor, and then walk out through the underground mall that goes it goes through the shopping corridor, around the food court and the arcade, down towards the pool, and then out into the monorail station where you then buy a ticket, or if you have like a connected pass or something to it, you scan that, go up the escalator, and then into the monorail station. Just to the doors of the monorail station from my hotel room is 728 feet. Okay? That is within my own hotel.
That's a bit of a walk.
That is within my own hotel. Now, if you leave my hotel room, go down the elevator to the ground floor, walk outside, go across the street, and walk down Link Lane to the Flamingo station, it is 891 feet. So it is 150-foot difference in walking, but you are going to an entirely different station.
Oof.
And so it's a hell of a hike if you're trying to use it as transportation. Like, I regretted staying here because my alternative would have been a bus if I had stayed at a hotel that was further away. CES provides a shitload of buses for conventioneers, and they run them relatively frequently, except for the ones that have direct monorail service. And so that would have been a lot better. Also, only time in my life I've ever seen the monorail skip a stop because it was so full already. So,
oh god.
So the other thing about them not having open gangways, you can't walk away from the cloud of COVID or whatever. It was yeah, I wore a mask on one trip. I was like, nope. So that's what it's like at the Horseshoe. Let's go on to the next slide. Now this is what it's like from the Paris.
Boy.
Now I would like to say, do you see where it says Horseshoe Paris monorail station? Do you see that you're
Oh my god.
Do you see that you have to walk from the Paris into the Horseshoe and then through the entire underground mall of the Horseshoe to get to the station? It's such.
Do they call it the Horseshoe Monorail Station because that's the path you have to take? The shape of the path?
Probably. Just it's and that's, I don't know the internal geography of the Paris that well. If you're I guarantee you the elevators are in the dead center of the tower, so you might have to walk even further to get from your hotel room. So
why would we want to make public transit convenient?
Because it's not public transit; it's supposed to direct you from one gambling location to the other. But anyways, it's there. It's certainly Las Vegas Boulevard is choked with traffic, so can't do.
Yeah.
But anyway, on to the next slide. Uh, meanwhile, if you get on at the Horseshoe Station or at the Flamingo and Caesar's Palace Station, it does tell you that you can get to the Caesar's Palace from there. Imagine, if you will, you are trying to get to the Bacchanal Buffet at Caesar's from the Horseshoe Station. You have to go out of the monorail, down the walkway, through the underground mall, through the entirety of the beach level of the Horseshoe, up to the casino floor, through the casino floor, past the check-in desk, across the valet drive-in, through up and over the street, through a mall, through like an outdoor mall that they have built there, because they built the fucking hotel on the back end of the lot because it was the 60s, across Las Vegas Boulevard and Flamingo Road, through the entire front forecourt of the Caesar's Palace, through the main entrance, through the entire casino, and then you're at the Bacchanal Buffet. 3,512 feet for an $89 buffet. It's not fucking worth it. Go to the Bellagio.
$89?
I was shocked. Go to the one at the Bellagio. It's a little cheaper and it's better. Because of COVID, it's all because of COVID. Like every hotel used to have a buffet. Now like 5 of them do. It's disgusting. Yeah, you mean I can't get fat at every hotel, at a different hotel every night? How dare you?
It's 2/3 of a mile. Sorry, I had to just figure that out.
It is.
It's
over
2/3 of a mile.
It's over a kilometer. So this is another thing that I just personally think, which is that everybody's like, oh, transit means that we can have 15-minute cities. I would rather die than walk 15 minutes to anywhere from somewhere else. Okay? That's not me, man. Okay?
Depends on the climate for me.
Depends. Yeah, okay. It's Las Vegas. Pretend it's July. Pretend it's 115 and you're doing this. You're going to die.
Give me a subway with a stop every other block.
So
something.
What I really like is that if you walk across Flamingo Road and take the bus, there's actually a bus stop. There's a bus stop at both ends of the walk. So it's ridiculous. Anyway, next slide. But not as ridiculous as trying to get to the Venetian. Okay, this might be a slightly shorter distance, but I promise you it's the most insane thing ever. So, for context, CES has expanded out of just the Las Vegas Convention Center into also every other convention center in Las Vegas. And so the Venetian has a load of it. And I left the monorail the first day I was going to the Venetian, and I asked someone, which, by the way, great thing, I walked from my hotel to the Flamingo station and then rode one stop, which was shorter than my walk from the hotel room to the station, and then had to walk to the Venetian. Because remember, Sheldon Adelson hated this fucking thing, so they weren't going to build him a stop. So to get from the next station, which I believe is now the Link. It's like the Link station. It used to be Imperial Palace. Names change all the time. Also Harrah's. You have to walk out of the station into like a walkway that connects to the Caesars Forum Convention Center. That then goes down a set of escalators. And I asked someone for help. Like, I asked a member of staff, and this was the staff approved, like he was a manager at Harrah's or something. And so then you go down into the Harrah's parking garage. You walk all the way through the Harrah's parking garage into the staff-only area, down a flight of stairs, past the pet relief area, across the street where like cabs are coming into the back end of the Venetian, where you almost get run over by a tour bus. Then you go into the mall parking garage entrance for the Forum shops at the Venetian. You go up a flight up an elevator through a long hallway into the casino level, turn right, go through the basement, through the base level of the Forum shops, and you are at the Expo Center. Okay?
That's so convoluted.
Almost 2,000 feet, and that's the shortest way to do it. Now, if you want to get to the fucking Sphere, which is a giant event center, walk through the entire Venetian Expo Center. But don't follow the signs, because the signs that I followed when I did that took me out the front entrance of the Venetian, which is notably the wrong direction. because they were going to build an infill station at the Sphere, but then some events happened. Then some
And they
events
said,
happened.
nah, we're good.
No, I'll tell you about it in a second. I have a whole slide for it. But then finally, this is my favorite one. This is just the MGM Grand. This is getting from the street to the monorail. Like street to monorail is almost 1,600 feet.
If I have to break out Google Maps for a walk, that's only 1,600 feet. Then
Fortunately,
that's kind of fucky.
Fortunately, I think because they have been doing it for so long, because this was the original station, all of the wayfinding signs in the casinos are actually really good for foot traffic. Like shockingly, all the signs inside are great. It's just getting to the Sphere I had such a hassle with. But the other thing is, Harrah's will direct you. What everybody wants you to do is they want you to walk to the Strip, which means you have to go through the casino, which means you'll gamble. So
yeah. I mean that is the whole point.
So
that's the ultimate goal.
So there's no signs that say go to the Venetian this way. That's the really complicated. Is it just it doesn't go where people want to go always. But if we go to the next slide, then this is another fun one. This is how you get to the Stratosphere from the Sahara monorail stop, because they reopened the Sahara.
You can make a pit stop at the dispensary along the way.
Yeah, which also I thought it very bold for Google Maps to suggest you cut through someone's parking lot. I would not. That seems like you're going to have a fun time there. I just stuck to the street corners and walked, but it is definitely, it gets a little sketchy up by the Stratosphere, because that's just into North Vegas as opposed to the Strip itself. Ooh. Like, it's always sketchy. One time I went back in like the 2010s, we had to cut through an abandoned lot, and a homeless man told us where the hole in the fence was. Because we took
that's a bro.
We took Paradise Road instead of cutting over on Sahara. But anyway, see, next slide. This is and then this is my favorite part. This is the distance between the Link and Flamingo stations. 1,039 feet. 1,039 feet.
There it is. I couldn't find the label for a second. I could see the station, but I couldn't find the label.
Yeah, 1,039 feet to go. That's the shortest distance between the two stations. It is also shorter than most walks that you would have to take to get to them.
Oh, God.
So yeah, that's... I walked from my hotel to the monorail station, took the monorail one stop to this one. I was like, I could have just walked the whole way.
Yeah.
But, next slide. This is what it feels like to chew 5 gum. No, to keep walking all the way through your hotel to the monorail.
2 signs for the monorail. All right.
Just sign after sign after sign.
At least it's there.
Actually, if you're into old transit signage and you're ever in Las Vegas, out on the Strip in front of Harrah's, they have some ancient signage from like 2005. Because like most of the station names have changed, but Harrah's has never changed ownership. Or like any of its branding. I think the MGM Grand Station has never changed its name at all. So I think the announcements are the same ones they recorded in 2005. But
nice.
Like most of them have changed over the years, because the stations have all changed their names like a bunch of times as hotels get rebranded and things like that. And then onwards to the next thing. Now we're into the history portion, more history of the monorail. We're getting. So I do like how everyone in Las Vegas seems to have just accepted that the monorail is going to be around.
It.
Like
it's here. Get used to it.
But they were asking for a lot of money to extend to Mandalay Bay, which is something they should have done already. But I was iffy on that plan a lot, because it did mean that they would never be able to extend to the airport, because they would be using the alignment and then turning immediately to go towards Mandalay Bay. But at the same time, Mandalay Bay is the closest hotel to where the Raiders stadium is, which having an event
Okay.
shuttle like that would be a lot more useful. Like from a financial perspective for the monorail. They're also planning an infill station at the Sphere, which at this point is still just a proposed thing that might never get built. And this is all like in the 2017, 2015, that sort of range of time.
Okay.
They seem like they're on the right track. The Sphere starts getting built. It's really cool. I saw it before, and then next slide.
Oh,
Yeah,
who's that specky little boy?
next slide. Things have happened.
That
So
was, if you're just listening, that was just an image of the novel coronavirus
Yeah, and-
labeled "Welp."
yep, that was I pulled that straight off of Wikipedia. So, as one might suspect, the Las Vegas Monorail Company went completely bankrupt at this point. And so the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority, who owns the convention center, bought them. One of the things that was bought out, that was included with this, was the monorail's exclusivity clause, which I didn't know was a thing, but Bob Broadbent apparently managed to get that, where there was an exclusivity clause for public transit on the monorail, where nothing else could be built aside from it. But they eliminated the non-complete area around the monorail system, which paved the way for Elon Musk's gaping hole to be built, because the convention center wanted to work with them. Next slide. Meet the new boss. It's the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority, who are, by their nature, probably corrupt. I'm just not prepared to say
I was just thinking
how.
the mob has some good imagery and marketing right now.
Basically, it was kind of the mob. In the 50s is when this started. They basically wanted to fund a convention center, but a lot of people who didn't have hotels near the convention center had no interest in helping. So they basically mandated a room tax across Las Vegas to help pay for it, whether or not you were going to benefit from it or not, because fuck you. Again, this is like Huey Long style corruption, where, like, yes, there is massive grift and government overreach and using the government as a cudgel to force your goals, but the personal enrichment that comes with it is followed almost immediately by an actual physical object that is built and, like, exists, and you can interact with it with no corruption intended. Like, there's still a convention center. There's a casino. There's hotels. There's everything. Yes, it's all massively corrupt, but it's still there. It's not like fucking Theranos.
There is a tangible end product, yeah.
It's like it's really weird. Like it's not normal corruption. But so next slide, this is what's going on.
God damn it.
So there's a great ProPublica article about this that I'm not going to do them the disservice of summarizing, except in the next slide when I will. At least some of their points, but basically Elon / the Boring Company is basically doing the exact same thing that that Broadbent did in 2001. They're getting exactly what they want with very little governmental oversight or anything else. I don't know whether it's because they don't care or because it's not really important to them. Their long-term plan is to replace the monorail with this. I don't think it's out of any, like, technological reason. It's more so that Bombardier has exited all of its business avenues at this point, and monorail parts are difficult to come by. Like when I went for CES this year, it's one of their biggest days. It's one of their biggest weeks of the year for the monorail. And even still, They had 2 trains in the barn because they didn't work. So
Ooh.
like, so it's one of these things where it's like they're running out of parts. They have plans to extend it to 2030, but that is a date that gets increasingly more relevant. My mom's credit card expires in 2030 now. I don't like that. Um, I don't like that that's happened, but anyways, this is all Bombardier's fault as per usual. They should just stick to snowmobiles like they have done.
Yeah.
But next slide. That brings us, as far as the monorail goes, to now, which is that we've got so. I love this image. We've got the futuristic mode of transportation of yesteryear next to what the fuck is that?
I don't know, but whatever it is, it's cool. This is great.
That's
Two great things.
That's the sphere.
Well, yes,
I love the sphere.
I know.
Yeah.
The only reason I want to go to Vegas is to see that. I have no other interest in that.
I've been in it. It's incredible. They even like scent the air sometimes. I went there for Delta Airlines' keynote at CES, and it's a 4D theater, but they also do smell because they announced a partnership with Uber Eats, and they made the room smell like a cinnamon latte.
That's rad. That is so cool.
So, yeah. Next slide.
Can't wait until probably 2040 when somebody visits the then old sphere, comes back to Dallas and goes, "We need one here," and we continue the Dallas tradition of cool things you saw somewhere else.
Let's hope. And now, are you on the next slide?
I am.
So this is their proposed replacement. This is the Loop. This is the Las Vegas
parking garage.
This is the Las
Vegas. Looks like a parking garage.
It looks like a parking garage. Now, I am going to say something a little bit interesting, which is that in its current role as a people mover around the convention center, it's actually not terrible. This has been my stated idea for the entire time that I have seen this thing, especially after I wrote on it. It's not bad doing what it's doing right now, because it is incredibly scalable since it's just cars. It's just Teslas in a hole.
Yeah.
It's not particularly advanced in terms of that because it's just like
it's cars in a hole.
These cars are not even self-driven. You can and because Tesla and the Boring Company are essentially the same organization, you can get replacements and new stock incredibly quickly. Like, I'm sure that if something happened and all of the cars there were destroyed, there would be a phone call placed within 25 minutes, and the Tesla store in Las Vegas would just be like emptied out as soon as people could drive them over. Like, it's very easy. It's very easy to sort of handle that. It's a very scalable system, and I'll get into that more later. It's just that the problem is that they're trying to replace a mass transit system with it, and that's like I think they said something like 90,000 people an hour. That's not how that works.
No.
That's not how that works. I think like a 5-lane interstate could handle that, and this is cars in a hole doing 30. It's just not feasible. Other people have gone into this, but I do just want to point out that all of these stations are island platforms, which means that cars have to pull into traffic to they have to
on the blind side.
They have to back out and pull into traffic, and I have a video later on that shows exactly like how long it takes sometimes. Like, it was ridiculous. But
now wait. Okay, so this design for the bays that each one pulls into is a familiar looking design to anybody who has ridden a bus from a transit center ever. Yeah. I'm looking at the image on the top right. On the left side of the image, we could see 2 Teslas in these bays. Why do they have to back out? Why can't they just cut the wheel hard to the right and kind of
Sometimes
dip
they
out
so,
just like a bus?
sometimes they back out. Sometimes there's a car next to them. Sometimes and sometimes they don't. They usually do. And even then they're pulling out into a stream of traffic that is really fast moving. Like it's a smooth flow of traffic. So
Hmm.
it's not optimized well. I promise you that. Uh
Yeah, that seems clunky.
like because they need to be able to get people out of all four doors. It's not well done. Um Also, interestingly enough, all of these cars are plated normally. They're just normal Teslas with a little bit of software, with a little bit of modification. Um,
Do well, I get. Is there like a maintenance facility for these Teslas?
um, I don't certainly not on property. There's a Tesla supercharger out behind a building that I
So I
saw.
mean, that's probably why they're plated
Yeah.
in case they have to
Oh no.
go to a service center.
We'll get to that. Hold on.
Oh God, come
Uh,
on, come
let's
on!
go. So before we talk about that, let's go to the next slide. Um, EPA violations and my accident waiting to happen. Uh, so again,
An Elon Musk company making EPA violations
so
blatantly and flagrantly.
I could go on for a bit with what ProPublica did, but they were the three that I really saw that stuck out to me was they were illegally dumping untreated water, and by illegally dumping untreated water, I think that basically they just they either broke a line or there was just like a valve turned on and just left open because it was like a water main break level of flooding out of the site
Oh,
because that's how they do their micro boring for the tunnel is they spray the rock with water and then it's all silica water and everything. You've got you've got to treat that. Illegally dumping mud and garbage. Um, a a Clark County like I don't even know what position they are, but with the engineers department, just saw a boring company dump truck that was so coated in mud the license plate couldn't be read. Um,
yeah.
Pull out of a site, drive down the street, leaking mud the whole way as it just pulled into a random lot to dump it. And then finally, this one I felt they glossed over way too much. They did illegally tap into and install a sewer line.
Oh, yeah.
Like
That
they
it's
they
hard to explain that one
they
away.
tapped into and then like attached their own line to it so they could dump their own sewage. Um, I don't.
I mean, good on you for getting it where it goes, I suppose. But
Well,
you got to
I don't know
get
whether
plans and approvals for that.
I don't know if it's upstream of where they were supposed to treat it or not. That's I
Hmm.
it did not. I really felt they should have done a little bit more looking into that one, but based on what I've been hearing about the Convention Center Authority, they will get away with this. That nothing will happen because this is the new hot thing and Las Vegas needs this. Um, Anyways, next slide. If we go on to, this is what the tunnel looks like. Again, this was taken by me in a car as I was going through this. Um, it is just a hole. It's
The
very
whole
we. This has been talked to death on other podcasts, but again, there's no evacuation shafts. There does not appear to be a lot of ventilation. It seems really difficult to be able to open the doors all the way, although it's not tight enough that you couldn't like either shimmy out or jump out through the windows or something. Um, Walking through the tunnel was probably going to be bad if there's an emergency because there'll be other cars ahead of you. If one of
yeah.
these things catches fire, you will probably be dead from smoke inhalation before you reach the next station. Um, because so just generally not a good place to be in an emergency. I hope they have I hope they have self-driving cars that really know what they're doing. Next slide. Um, if we want to just click on this, we will see that no, they don't. They're driven by people, and I'm gonna mute this. Zach, you don't have to because this is the driver playing Queen on the stereo.
I
But
so the preview I'm watching it had it muted already, and I'm kind
yeah,
of glad it didn't. Let's save that editing for Did it just show a car appearing? Yeah, it's ghosting a car.
The autopilot system, it totally, the car's system totally thinks that the reflections in the wall is other vehicles. And then so you can see, so they have a slightly different programming thing. There's obviously advertisements on there, and then there's a little, I guess it must be some sort of like vehicle management system that they've installed a second screen for, but very little else is there. One of the main advantages of self-driving cars in a system like this is they could do what's known as platooning, which is really close up the gaps, and they just don't because they're self-driven. Here's the end of the tunnel. Immediate right-hand turn, like 90-degree right-hand turn, up a ramp into the sunlight because the station.
Oh, my eyes.
The station is above ground. Only one station is below ground on the free convention center network. I've been led to believe that the ones in the hotels across the street that they've done are below ground or in a parking garage. But yeah, in this one, in these outlying ones, you really do have to back out. So
I'm at a loss.
So yeah,
I'm at a loss for words.
This is what I was saying by it's kind of scalable, but also it's not. How do I then? There we go. Nope, do not. How do I go? Hold on, I have made the PowerPoint angry. There we go.
Oh, this is fun.
There we go. Correct one. Load. There we go. So now we are at the Riviera. So if I'm looking at this correctly, you should see the one with the 4 images.
Yes.
So this is various things from the furthest station out there. This is the Riviera station where the Riviera Hotel used to be. Now is the nearest station to the Fontainebleau Hotel. Notably, not in the Fontainebleau Hotel. You have to jaywalk across the street to get in. But so you will see this top left image says to Resorts World. That is the Resorts World Hotel across the street where the Stardust used to be. It's that is a single direction tunnel, but for 2 directions of traffic because they haven't dug the second one yet. So you see how there's like 3 Teslas lined up at that gate? By the time all the other cars get through, there'll be about 10 of them stretched all the way around. And they single file their way through. Resorts World is all the way across the street. Like you can kind of see Circus in the background. It is next door to that. So they have to drive like half a mile. Only thing preventing someone from getting in is a little gate.
That's not going to stop me.
Then you see on the right side of the screen, the car is just driving down the street. They don't have a tunnel between the next station down and the Riviera station, so they just drive you down the street.
Oh God.
This is also notably their plan to get to Las Vegas Airport is to just drive there on the highway while they dig the tunnel.
This hurts. This hurts my heart.
This isn't even a bus.
Are we going to put funding towards this? It's a taxi. All right, it's Elon Musk's taxi.
And then you can see on the picture with the gate arm, you can actually see in the background a couple of Teslas parked just over in the distance. That's their maintenance facility, which is, I assume, just they charge them.
Oh my God, I hate this.
So this is... Which, again, as a people mover, having this level of scalability is phenomenal. As a transit system, this is idiotic.
Yes.
This is not going to work long term. But they are doing it. That's exactly... I can't wait for someone to drive the wrong way into the Resorts World Tunnel and we get to reenact the Sylvester Stallone movie Daylight. Critically acknowledged 1996 film Daylight.
How do you even come up with this?
Well, Daylight came out on the same day I was born, so I know that movie, but also
Oh, are you bonded with the film? You're the
Yes,
same age as the film?
literally yes. Also,
Blood brothers with the film.
I just know everything. So but but uh but yes. So this is not a well developed system, to say the absolute least. And then we're gonna go to the next slide, which is a couple more images. So this is the station between this is the South Station. Again, you can see how there's just like cars everywhere. There are outside bays, there are inside bays, there's a loop road around it. You have to cross traffic sometimes, but not all the times. This is a terminus station for right now, which is kind of why. But still, the vertical image is a screenshot, is a picture of, again, what the screens and the car is doing. It's registering that there's a vehicle beside it because it can see its own reflection. And then up top, what do you think that Model X is for?
Wheelchair users.
Yes.
Yep, I recognize that platform.
Uh-huh.
That one off the trailer hitch.
Yep.
So we could have had a really cool monorail system, and we get this instead.
We have the monorail system. They actually advertise it
as the fuller monorail system.
As they advertise it as a connection. Like, you can technically connect Gadget Bond to Gadget Bond, which I don't think anywhere else in the world lets you do.
That is kind of cool, actually. That little bit is kind of cool.
Yeah. Also, you can see in the South Station picture, they have the cutting wheel head for the tunnel boring machine in the back. I think it's called Godot, because of course it is. Because they're waiting for Godot.
Huh.
Also, you can't actually get up close to it, because that means you have to enter the station and then like dodge like traffic and stuff. So
I mean, you could do anything you want on your last visit to the tunnel, to the loop system.
Yeah, I guess. Your last visit to Las Vegas, do whatever you want. But but anyways, if we go, and then
Elon Musk can't ban you from all of Las Vegas yet.
Yeah. And then also, if you look up at the Model X again, you can see the innovative system for keeping the employees out of the weather, because the Riviera station is so new.
A tent?
Yes.
Hey, at least they put weights on the legs.
Yep. So
all right. That's more forethought than I've seen from some of my managers.
But yeah, and you'll notice again that I'm standing right like before the crosswalk, because you have to cross the street to get inside the boarding area of the station. It's all
okay.
It's all just so much. But anyways, we're gonna
hit infamously safe and pedestrian recognizing every single time.
Well, it recognizes the pedestrian; it just hits them.
It just doesn't care.
It's like you never like. There's probably like an internal design email. Well, we recognize that there's a pedestrian. Reply: you didn't stop the car. Reply: that was never in the design brief.
Yep, you didn't ask for it. That's feature creep now.
So anyways, we're going to go on to the next slide. Again, this is just more of the inside of the cars, sort of showing what it's doing. One of them just had like standard nav on the screen. I don't know how that happened, but it's like it was doing that. The rest of them all had like standard loop technology, which is like it sort of is like a little mini GPS system, I guess.
I also have noticed that they have advertisements in there as well.
Yep, it's all for it's for, I guess, other things at the convention and at the hotels nearby, which I guess makes sense. But so also in the convention center, this is a free service, so that might be why. So they're at
maybe.
And then outside of the convention center grounds, you have to pay, which is fun. Anyways, on to the next slide. This is the current system they have so far. As far as I was able to tell, I got it off of the convention center website. So we have the green stops are the free ones, and the LVCC Central is underground. That is the only underground station, as far as I know. I think The Resorts World is in like a basement garage. I don't know about the Encore. I don't know about the Westgate because those just opened within the last few months. And then you'll notice with the Encore one, I didn't realize this until I was looking at it. The Encore station does not go in through to the underground station. They have an above ground plaza. So you can't even have a single seat ride.
Oh,
Which
so close, yet so
I,
far.
I guess because they would have to institute a 90-degree turn in an area where you can't. It's
Okay, yeah,
it's
maybe.
something stupid like that. There's a bunch of other interesting stuff that I could go into. Like I
What?
found the secret staircase that lets you into the central station, where you just pop out behind like a back wall,
Ooh,
where there's no markings for it. If there's a fire, you would never know it's there. Um,
what what kind of speeds do they do in the tunnel?
about 25 or 35. It's not a lot.
Oh, for God's sake!
It's faster than walking.
It is, yes.
That's about it. Like again,
Oh,
as
Jesus.
a people mover, this is actually really great. As a transit system, this is terrible. Click the next slide. They want to make
Whoa.
it a transit system.
Just build a subway.
They are. It's a
Just build a subway.
subterranean
A
carway.
rail subway. No, not a sub. This is a subterranean highway. This is
It's
a
not even a
glorified road tunnel.
Yeah, no, it's not great. This is a couple of years old. I couldn't find a more recent image of what their plans were, but it's not ideal. I would not think that this is an ideal plan. Um, Definitely not. Like
How?
especially with like
How?
single lane tunnels.
Yes.
I don't
How do
know.
you? How do you? How do you? How do you build a branch out to the airport
Um,
and not have just like go ahead and make that proposed future spur just a loop on the first go around? If you wanted to make this much more appealing, because that doesn't even go to the terminals right now. It goes to an area well outside of
I
Terminal 1
don't
and 3.
I don't know. I like I no, I really have no idea. Cuz what the best part of this is that like their plan in the meantime is to drive on the street. So like I don't know what their plans
Call a
are.
cab. Call a cab.
Uh-huh. No, that's what I
And then
did.
you're not supporting a Nazi. All right, here we go.
Oh, I don't know. I don't want to say that about Las Vegas cab company owners. I don't know that much about them. They could be, for all I
Eh,
know.
you're supporting the mob. That's bad, but it's like the lesser of two evils, I
Yeah.
suppose.
But yeah, so this is all very stupid. I don't really understand. Like again, I want to make this clear. As a people mover for the convention center and maybe connecting like the outlying hotels that you would theoretically be staying at if you were staying at the convention center, this is great. This is a really interesting concept because you skip all the traffic. Like if there was like, because like
Yeah.
I was on a bus for almost 45 minutes going the incredible distance of half a mile from the Venetian to the convention center because
45 minutes?
Las Vegas Boulevard was that choked with traffic. I almost got into a fight with the guy sitting in front of me because I was like, what could be causing this traffic? Someone must be dead. And he was like, no, I said someone had better be dead for traffic to be this bad. And he ended his phone call and started glaring at me. And we almost had words.
Do it.
I was not in the mood for it. The bus didn't have working air conditioning. It was great.
Oh.
So there was no moving air. It just took forever. But
That.
like having like a convention center shuttle line, fantastic. But like they're trying to expand the mandate so much that it's not going to work. It's not going to work. Like just like the basic realities of this, like even ignoring all of the political things, all of the fact that this is an insane thing. At a certain point, the throughput that you need physically is not possible. Just physically is not possible. And that's before the fact that I'm very certain they're not going to institute the correct tunnel safety standards. And we're going to hear about, like, the Sahara Inferno in 10 years when, like, a Tesla breaks down and there's a 15-car pileup and everyone gets incinerated. Or something.
Because, something bad enough happens in there, those batteries are just going to kill everybody.
And it's such a small tunnel, it'll turn into, like, a kiln. Like...
Yeah.
Ma'am, this is either a tire or your grandmother. Would you like it separate? Would you like it bagged or in a box?
Oh.
So yeah, that's what it'll eventually be.
It's old and rubbery. We think it may have been a Las Vegas senior citizen.
Yep. It's just this is not a good idea. And what's even better is Las Vegas has a fairly efficient bus system. Like, at this point, we could be looking into bus rapid transit and getting major returns on it instead of this. But a streetcar, a cable car, anything. Oh no,
dude, a broad gauge cable car that you couldn't buy anything else for, that used like a different type of grip than San Francisco would be better.
The Boynton,
I feel like it would be
Boynton
better.
Bicycle Railway would be very Las
bring
Vegas.
That back.
Run that
back
down the center line of Las Vegas Boulevard.
And make one of them like an actual steam locomotive so that you can get the tourist thing going in on the weekends. And yeah.
But yeah, so that is hopefully the end of this podcast. If we go to the next slide. Hi guys, Joe in the edit here. We can't go on to this slide next because rather annoyingly, while we were putting this episode together for the upload, City Nerd decided that he was going to upload a video on the Las Vegas Loop, and unfortunately it covered some things that we didn't, so I now have to spend a couple of minutes making an addendum to the podcast that's already 3 hours long. Hopefully will be brief. For those of you who haven't watched it, he basically covered the expansion of the loop to the outer resort stations, which at current are Encore, Westgate, and Resorts World. It, as his title says, the Vegas Loop is getting progressively more stupid. He's not wrong. So we're going to just very briefly go through these and sort of show things that I didn't show either because that section wasn't open or because I didn't think to do it at the time. Let's just very quickly get into this. So first off is Resorts World Station. This is one section that was open when I went in early January, but I didn't go to it because you have to pay an extra fare for it. This one is probably the least problematic of the bunch. It resembles very easily a rideshare pickup location at any other major hotel complex. The airports actually isn't as nice as this if you fly into Harry Reid Airport. You can see up in the top, though, that, again, this is really stupid because Convention Center Drive is where this exit is, where the tunnel goes out into, and it very clearly could just go down the street, and it doesn't. And instead it arcs off towards the Riviera station because, and this is another interesting point, apparently the hotels have to pony up some of the money for the tunnels, which is why the Resorts World station is single tube. Resorts World didn't want to cough up the cash for a second tube. So that's on them. Now, we go on next to the Westgate station, which opened in January of 2025, just before, or no, it was just after, I apologize, just after CES. And this is right in the middle of, stupid to not stupid. So this is directly outside the Westgate Las Vegas on the taxi rank. Now, those of you who know your Las Vegas geography, or just listen to the episode that this is in, will note that the Westgate Las Vegas is the next station on Las Vegas Monorail after the convention center. So this is competing with itself, basically, considering that the Convention Center Authority is more or less the patron of the loop and direct owner of the monorail. Which you can see arcing over top of the parking and loading areas for the loop station. Again, this is something from City Nerd's video that I found particularly interesting, is that there are no benches or shade in the Vegas Loop parking, in the Vegas Loop pickup and drop-off areas, which is very bad because, as he demonstrated when he went there, he went on a day that wasn't for a convention, so the Loop was operating in a dramatically reduced capacity of 2 cars for the entire system, one of which was operating a training route and so couldn't pick up passengers, which meant that there was 1 car serving the entire network, which meant that people were waiting 20 minutes or more in the direct sunshine of Las Vegas for a ride, because people will ride this thing just as a curiosity, and they're required to give them the full tour if they ask for it. So that actually holds up anybody who's doing normal transportation, because this thing clearly is dial-a-ride transport when it's not on exhibition days. So the only place that you can wait while the system is operating in dial-a-ride mode is in the shade of the monorail. The irony here is palpable. The system is a dual-tube system, but interestingly enough, I don't know where it feeds out to. Because it's been open only for about 8 months right now, I guess no one has filmed it, or at least no one that I can find has videoed this regularly, or with any detail, I should say, which bodes really badly, actually, for how popular it isn't, because the monorail right there must be siphoning away passengers. Which, by the way, just think about that. The monorail is siphoning passengers away from this thing. That's like gadget bon on gadget bon violence. But in any event, I have been completely unable to find a through ride video of this. If you have one, please email us at the email address in the description. And it's a dual tube system, but it feeds into the entrance for the Riviera station, which, as we discussed a few minutes ago, the Riviera station only has the Resorts World tube coming out of the ground, and then there's a entrance tube going off to the South Station. Not the South Station, the next station down the road, which means that either the cars bottleneck up at the Resorts World tube entrance, or they're still waiting on more construction to be done. Either way, stupid. The one thing that isn't stupid, as far as I can tell, is found in a Facebook video from a local influencer. I want to consider her an influencer. I have no idea who she is. She managed to get access to the tunnel on foot. That is why it looks like she is calling us from hell. The lights were on red at the moment. There's an exit. There's an actual, honest-to-God, fire exit with a sign and a fire door that leads out into the tunnel head house, which means that more thought and care has been put into this than just about anything else in the system. Interestingly, while I was doing research for this, I found some plans for the Westgate Tunnel, which you can see in the upper corner of the screen on the left. According to other plans that were filed through Clark County and then posted to the Reddit forum for the Boring Company, they may in the future seek to relocate the head house for the tunnel a few hundred feet forward to accommodate for different tunnel arrangement. Why they want to do this, I'm not sure, but that's a plan that they have in place. It might relate to something that I'm going to talk about in just a couple of slides. Now, if this one's ridiculous and the Resorts World is relatively not anything to write home about, The station at the Encore is just actually stupid. So this opened in April. Even City Nerd was unable to actually get a ride on this because I guess it really isn't operating outside of convention days. But it is legitimately and honestly a repurposed tour bus boarding rank that has been co-opted by the Vegas Loop. Uh, it's out on Encore Resort Boulevard by the valet parking garage. Footage that he took from his video literally shows him getting taken down a garden path by these various signs that just keep directing you around and around and around to the corner, kind of like the monorail would, to this just nowhereville taxi rank, bus stop, whatever it is, that's just sitting outside. Based on the photograph in the lower left corner, I guess they have a desk that they bring outside at certain points, which, again, by the way, I should mention that outside of convention events, these are all unmanned stations, and the manned stations are closed because that's how stupid this system is. They have as minimal staff as possible running it. I have no idea what would happen if, like, someone had a medical emergency inside the Resorts World station while they were waiting for their one Tesla to come pick them up. Presumably very bad. In any event, the cars then proceed to drive down an internal road at the Encore Wynn property, and then this is really stupid. So I kind of assumed that the whole reason why the Encore system didn't connect to the LVCC center station, which is underground, is that it was an entirely above ground system. Like, maybe it just hopped on Desert Inn Road, because the Encore is within, like, throwing rock distance of the convention center. Desert Inn Road connects directly to whichever road it is that's outside of the convention center. Actually, Desert Inn Road goes underneath the convention center at the next intersection, so it's not very far at all. You would think that maybe they would just go down maybe like an interior road, like the perimeter road by the golf course that you can see in the picture on the right, and then sort of just jog onto the street and maybe have like a protected lane that takes them across the street and into the convention center plaza. Actually, if you look at that picture closer, there's another fucking tunnel. They dug a tunnel under the Wynn's golf course, or actually it's still the Desert Inn golf course, but it's the Wynn's property golf course that goes alongside Desert Inn Road, underneath the other road, and then pops out into the parking lot of the LVCC, directly on top of the LVCC center station. Which means that they had to dig near their own tunnels, but not go into it. Which I don't understand, unless the turnaround space inside the box of the LVCC center station was so small and was so tight already, especially where they have the cars turn around, that they couldn't get another tunnel in there. Or if they were doing a single bore tunnel, they were worried that this would cause too much congestion in there. In either event, that's dumb as shit. And so there's, to get from the Riviera station to the Encore, or even from like Resorts World or the Westgate, you have to go into the LVCC Central and then connect above ground, which is dumb. It's very dumb. Presumably that's why this system doesn't this particular branch line does not operate outside of event days, because it kind of requires the LVCC Central to be open. I really don't have a lot of words for this, because this is very dumb. This is very stupid. It's bad when a monorail is actually a coherent form of transportation. I know this is all about the monorail, and I love the Las Vegas Monorail, but it's bad that it's looking better than the Loop. And then finally, we're going to go on to one more slide here. So they're not done yet. If we look down at this vertically oriented image at the bottom, they have already managed to dig to the Virgin Hotel, which is several miles to the south of the convention center, near the F1 building that they have for the races. It's by UNLV and the airport, because their next thing is to extend towards the airport. This big plan drawing on the left is a proposed super hub underneath the parking lots outside the UNLV Thomas and Mack Center. And then the two photos on the right are proposed drawings for a large station underneath the parking lots of Allegiant Stadium, which is the football stadium on the other side of the highway from the Vegas Strip. There are also plans for stations at the airport. There are plans for stations at the to-be-built baseball stadium on the former site of the Tropicana, and multiple others besides. So they're going. I still don't think that they're going to interface with reality at any point in terms of their proposed service patterns. They're definitely not going to get 90,000 people an hour. That's ludicrous, as we've stated. So I don't have an idea of what their plan is, but we will continue on there. Also, one other note for anyone who's watched the City Nerd video, he does mention in that video that the Las Vegas Monorail is currently running cash positive, and he acts like that's like some sort of saving grace for the monorail. That I don't think is as much of a saving grace as he might mention, as he might think. The Las Vegas Monorail is operating under two very distinct handicaps that are probably going to get it taken out before that are working against it, I should say. So the first thing is that monorails are, for lack of a better word, passé. They're old news. They're not exactly the flashy new thing that's a disruption. Las Vegas always likes to be a city on the edge, especially when you're dealing with a outward marketing focused organization like the Convention and Visitors Authority that always wants to have something punchy to point to for the conventioneers who come in every year. So the Loop is flashy, the Loop is new, the Loop is sexy. The Loop is going to be something that they can point to and say, look at this, as opposed to the monorail, which has been there for 20 years. Sort of like why all of the historic buildings on the Las Vegas Strip are rubble, because they like to tear down the old and put up new stuff. That's just sort of like the cycle of life in Las Vegas. However, the other thing that is, I think, even more important, that I just want to make sure is crystal clear, because I don't think I articulated as much as I'd like to in the same episode of the podcast that we filmed about a month ago. The Las Vegas monorail trains are running at essentially the end of their serviceable life, and it's probably going to get extended on and on because there's really no one else to buy monorails from at this point. They'd probably have to get, I don't even know who would do it nowadays, Alstom or Siemens maybe, but they are effectively running to the point of, and as I said earlier in the episode, on the busiest days the system has ever seen, they do not have all of their trains capable of functioning. They had 2 trains down. They were down 2 trains the entire week of CES because parts didn't work, and parts are harder and harder to find. Because I assume that whatever problems the Vegas Monorail are having is probably alleviated a little bit with the sister monorail fleet that Disney has, because Disney has a gazillion dollars and isn't flirting with the edge of bankruptcy all the time. Like there have been comments about how, like, you know, the successive CEOs of Disney named Bob have been running the parks into the ground. Disney's market cap and expenditures on an annual basis makes the entire budget of the Las Vegas Monorail look like a rounding error. They can fix the monorails and keep them up to date way more than the Las Vegas system ever could. So there's a lot so they're probably not in a hurry to replace their existing stock in the same way that Vegas is probably running their trains into the ground. So there is a very real problem that the trains could just suffer series of unrepairable failures that eventually just mean like it's retired because they don't have an adequate replacement, or, and this might be more in the theme of this podcast, at some point there might be just a we don't have there might just be like a wear and tear slash not great maintenance related failure that results in a very spectacular fire or some other disaster that either gets on the front pages of local newspapers, national news, or God forbid kills somebody. And that would sort of be the death knell of this system. Like I'm recording this section after we recorded the most recent episode. The most recent episode, that really fucking helps. The episode about fatigue on transport, and the end of that episode I have video of the fires on board the Memphis trolleys that they got from Australia. Those fires caused by lack of maintenance and lack of funding basically caused the Memphis trolley system to shut down. And that isn't something that is entirely possible to happen here in Las Vegas. It might not be the exact same thing. There could be a collision. There could be some other sort of really awkward failure, but it's entirely possible that the system just breaks down. And then there's nothing but the loop, which, as a note, is currently running on non-convention days a 2-vehicle service, a 2 SUV service on their existing 3-station network with wait times of 20 plus minutes to go across the street. It is at a point right now where if you are not on a convention day, it is not just slower than the monorail, it is slower than walking, which is not something that you want. Especially when all of the current stations are within sight of each other. I shudder to think of what the headways might be on non-convention days once they've extended to the Virgin Hotel or the Thomas and Mack Center, because obviously they're digging there first and then going on to the airport. So if the airport has not yet happened yet, you are going to get this really interesting moment where like you're waiting at the Virgin Hotel to try and get to the convention center or the Westgate or something like that, and it's a 45-minute wait, which is not transportation. That's not even ride sharing. That's having an unreliable friend who said they'd be there. This is not a sustainable transportation system. This is not an ideal transit system. This is not even a transit system. I don't know what because they may become a default transportation system. I wish them the best. I don't think they're going to get anywhere near where they need to be. I don't think they're going to manage that, and that's going to be bad. It's going to be interesting as hell. As an aside, something that was pointed out to me by someone else in the Well, There's Your Problem server was that the system as it stands right now doesn't appear to have many drains. And I can confirm this by having been there. I didn't see a lot of floor drainage, a lot of like sumps and things like that where water can go. Now maybe I'm missing this because that's like the cars run a couple of inches off the floor and there's a subfloor underneath and of the tunnel, and that can have drainage, but they haven't done that. It's Elon Musk. They haven't done that. So what happens when it rains in Las Vegas? Because for those of you who don't know, Las Vegas has flash flooding, like really bad flash flooding. Like this is a hot tip for anybody who's ever planning to drive to Las Vegas. Several of the hotels in the center of the strip, like the Link, actually the bottom floor of their parking garages, like the ground floor, is known and still is in the 2020s a floodplain area where if it rains really hard, or because it's Las Vegas, if it rains at all, that not only becomes a flood, that becomes a raging torrent of water that basically traps people's cars in the hotel for up to a day. So I'm interested to see how this handles Las Vegas's like first monsoon, because I could totally imagine that people drown in there and then they die of asphyxiation when the cars short out and catch fire that way. But that is to come. We will obviously devote more time to the subject should that come up in the news. Anyways, now we're going to go back to the regularly scheduled episode that this is an addendum to, and we'll keep going. And then if we go to the next side, nope. Psych.
So
This one's all you, Zach.
I don't have. Well, okay. I guess I have. This is a disaster, a transit disaster in a way that it's not like gloom and doom. Bunch of people died. This guy's soul may have died when it utterly and completely failed. But we mentioned the Trailblazer earlier from the State Fair of Texas.
We mentioned it like 3 hours ago.
the Trailblazer was a monorail built by the Goodell Monorail Company. It first ran on a small test track in Houston in early 1956, and then in September of that same year, it was moved to the State Fair of Texas, which is in Dallas on the dedicated fairgrounds that are still there. If you like Art Deco buildings, go to the State Fair of Texas any time of year. The buildings are there year round. It's the largest collection of Art Deco buildings in the U.S. If you're listening to this, and you're actually interested in it, I would do it now, because literally in the middle of recording this, I got a notification that the company that is managing Fair Park has just had their contract terminated with a 90-day notice, and nobody knows what's going to happen to Fair Park because the city fucking hates it, except for the 3 weeks out of the year that the state fair is running and brings in money.
Is this the same Fair Park that the train museum got thrown out of?
Yes. And they
I'd say
I cannot speak on behalf of the museum, but I caught the feeling that the city hated the museum being there and asking for more room because they are cramped into like an acre and a half,
Yeah.
I think it was. That's not a lot of room for a railroad museum.
No. The city.
So this thing.
Texas
go ahead.
Texas hating museums. I am surprised.
Oh, and there's actually a couple of really good museums in there. That's another bad thing in these Art Deco buildings is cool museums. But this thing was set up on a very short test track. It was supposed to be much longer, but the line got truncated due to costs. If you're at all familiar with the layout of the fairgrounds, it ran from the automobile building to a spot about 1,000 feet in front of the Cotton Bowl Stadium, which overall comes out to less than 2,000 feet of track. It ran at 10 miles an hour because it was such a short trip. Give more people time to experience the future of public transit.
And did I see a couple of photos of it, like where the track basically arches down to the ground so they can board at ground level?
Yes.
Oh my
God. As a matter of fact, I did not have time to add it in here, but there is a photo. The first week of the fair in 1956, this wasn't running. It was such a last-minute offer that when the fair opened for the year, it was still being installed. And there is a photo of this thing just inches above the ground and men clambering all over it, getting guide rail beams and safety devices set up on the monorail.
I've pulled it up for the viewers.
Yes.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And Now, this was this was an interesting little piece. It was a demonstrator line. The Goodell Monorail Company was supposed to be the future of a provider for the future of public transit. And oddly enough, it started the State Fair of Texas usually starts in the last week of September and then runs through the first 2 weeks of October. In 1956, when this first ran, that was also the same year that streetcar service ended in Dallas on January 15th. So we went from a 60 or 70-year-old streetcar system to a monorail. Sort of. There's a weird little connection there, but Dallas was desperate to get into the future. They would be more desperate to change their image and get into the future after a certain event in 1963, but that's neither here nor there. But I wanted to bring this up because, as you can see in the bottom left photo, that's a funky looking little house with a familiar little shape. That's because the first commercial monorail in the US is now somebody's house. And I found it. I cold called the owners and awkwardly explained what I was doing, and they were so excited to talk about it and share it that they invited me to come over and take a look. So
and it looks incredible.
If you don't really know what you're looking at, it's the inside. There's not a whole lot of evidence of what it used to be. The ends are obviously very obvious. Like, they made a dinette out of the end that you can see in the top right photo, with me sitting in there. The corrugated roof is original. The light fixtures, including the glass covers, are all original. But they stripped it down to the first person who bought this from a scrapyard made it into a house and stripped it down to the walls. The countertops obviously were added. It was longitudinal bench seating everywhere except for the doors, and there were round benches along the rounded ends. Now, if you sat there, where's the operator? Why couldn't they be at the front? Well, that was because the operator was up top in an open cockpit exposed to the Texas heat.
With two Packard V8s roaring away with him.
Well, I mean, they're going to be behind him no matter what.
That's insane. And then I have one other question for you, which is that obviously there's like normal windows at the direct front of this now. Were there windows there before? Because I'm looking at the picture more and it looks like there were vertical bars. Like, were they open windows?
No. They were air conditioned. That is, from what I understand, that is either some bad photoshopping or just some very unfortunate glares, or maybe they couldn't quite get the curve of the plexiglass correct.
Oh, so it's just straight strips of plexiglass fashioned into a compound curve? Hell yeah.
Maybe? Because the guy who owns this now wrote on it like 3 years in a row. And he says he remembers it was not open. It was great because it was air conditioned. So when they went to the fair and it was 100 degrees, you could go sit in an air conditioned monorail.
That's fantastic.
And ride for 1,500 feet. The fact that this survives and is somebody's house is just absolutely baffling to me. There was a good article that went out on the AP Newswire about it in 2012 that has some other photos. I was bound and determined not to violate some sort of copyright or licensing law, so I got a wild hair up my ass and decided to try to find it myself. I found the address, drove out there, and long story short, ended up cold calling the owner on a number that I wasn't even sure was correct. And they were so gracious to take me inside and show me the entire house, not just the monorail.
That's so incredible. I just usually rip things from the internet, but I'm glad that you went and got the original article.
Well, you know what? When the first commercial monorail is, relatively speaking, in your backyard, I gotta go see it at least once.
Yeah. No, that's incredible.
A-
That's really cool that it's there. And
And
it follows the
it
every sort of transit thing's life cycle of it's a new thing that's feted upon, and then it becomes the old thing, and then it's closed down, and then it becomes someone's house. The interurbans did it before. The now the monorails are like this. It's great.
now there is a sneaking suspicion that this house exists because it is a form of one-upping. Because this is near a lake called Lake Tawakoni. It's not on the lake, but it's very close to it, and it is surrounded by several houses that are made out of the bodies of former Dallas Railway and Terminal streetcars,
Oh my
which
god.
were taken out of service the same year this thing was put into service. People would buy the bodies, they were stripped of all the electronics, trucks, and motors, and sold for fairly cheap. There was even there were so many people on this lake that bought these houses that there was a guy who made a company just for moving them, and he was able to provide a little bit lower cost that way because he had a contract between with Dallas Railway and Terminal to get cheaper access to pick them up and help loading them onto trucks.
That's fucking. Can you imagine being keeping up with the Joneses by your neighbor who you buy like the
You
fucking Brill car to one up your neighbor who has an
oh
extension made out of a Bernie, and then the guy across the street just show like one day a monorail is being delivered into his.
shows up with a fucking curvy art, almost like space age monorail, and you thought you were king shit because you paid a little bit more and got one of the rebuilt Peter Wick cars that were super long and super wide for street cars, and that was your lake house, and it had a little bit more room than Tom in the single truck Bernie down the street, and then this motherfucker shows up with a monorail. And it's the only one, so you can't even like buy more.
This is incredible. It's just
It was so great. You know, this I'll go ahead and say their names because it was in the article a while ago. Roger and Jillian Stewart were absolutely the most gracious hosts I've ever met. They were so kind, and oddly enough, the only reason they answered my cold call was because my name showed up on the caller ID, and a branch of my family that I've never actually met before runs a funeral home not too far from here, and that funeral home took care of Roger's mother and brother when they died, and he was so pleased with the experience that when he saw the last name of the same last name from that funeral home pop up, he was like, "That must be somebody from the funeral home. I wonder what's going on," and just answered. It was a very happy series of coincidences that I was able to see it on this particular day.
that's great. You got to call the funeral home and say thank you.
I actually I started typing up
A thank you email.
actually I was thinking about how to phrase that sentence so I don't get myself in trouble. I started composing an email. I won't say where or when I was doing that, but I started composing an email before something interrupted me and I may have possibly had to go back to work. But that's neither here or there.
But
But why did this monorail exist? Why did this monorail exist? I said it was a demonstrator line. And uh what was his name? Muriel Goodell ran the Goodell Monorail Company. This was the product of his company, and he wanted to be the one providing monorails to everybody in the world. So after this started and it was starting to get some attention, he decided to jump into the deep end. Let's go to the next slide.
oh, I'm
And he made a
excited to
whole
talk about
proposal.
this.
He made a whole proposal for a monorail in Los Angeles.
Oh
These were
my
going to
god.
be 28-seat monorails that connected downtown to the airport, would travel at 90 miles an hour.
And
They were
look like
air
a
conditioned.
Chevy Nomad while they did it. Oh, these are
Oh, it's
fantastic.
sexy, dude. They are sexy. Look at those things. Look, imagine how much chrome is on that thing.
Oh, it's just chrome.
These are going to be air conditioned, heated on the few times that LA needs it. They're going to be fast as fuck. They were going to have baggage sections. These are basically combine cars, passenger and baggage cars, because they knew that they were serving the airport. They were going to have onboard PA systems that would play pleasant music for your journey, and he gave a serious proposal. You can see right there, $40 million to start the monorail in LA, and he was pitching this hard. And unfortunately, we never got to see what was going on. Like he had such a plan for this that he knew that most of his traffic was going to be going to and from the airport, to the point that he designed baggage car monorails so that you could have a porter service just pick up your bags for you at the airport, and they would either zip just ahead of or behind the monorail that was carrying yours, and then there would be a porter waiting at the other end to unload everybody's bags and deliver them to their hotel rooms at the far end of the line. And
I remember what
he
they
even
took from you.
absolutely, these were also going to be multiple unit capable monorails. Is 28 seats not enough for one monorail? Well, what comes up next? That'd be 56. You want 56? We can do 56. Just bump them together, and they'll be ready to go. But this was the Goodell Monorail Company.
Imagine if reality wasn't such a piece of shit. You could roll into Los Angeles Union Station on a GM Aero train operated by the Southern Pacific, and then get a Ford Nucleon to drive you down to the fucking monorail station across town, and then take that to the airport on the monorail coach at 90 miles an hour. Wouldn't that just be the best?
Oh, I have to see if I can find it. Damn it. No, I can't find it. It was going to be some ridiculously short journey, like 15 or 20 minutes maybe, because this thing was zipping along at 90 miles an hour.
Like me on the highway.
But then imagine all of what you just said, but then you get on like probably a DC 8 or 9, and start hopping over towards Hawaii after you get to the airport.
What year was this? What year was this supposed to be? 1950?
1962.
Oh,
that's the date of the proposal.
You hop on a 707, which would have been brand new at the time,
loud as fuck.
Yeah, smoky engines, Pan American World Airways. You get to look out the window at a Lockheed Constellation that's just recently been bumped down to Tier 2 service. So it's going to like Portland while you're in your Jet Clipper America going to Waikiki. Oh my god.
Dude, and there's there is a Pan Am employee at the gate when you get off with a lei waiting for you right there. This is what they took from us.
Mm-hmm. Oh my god.
What was it? Oh, here's the other tidbit I found. Each one of these was going to be equipped with 4 100 horsepower traction motors.
Wow.
This light little thing was going to have 400 horses under it. Or above it? I guess above it.
Was this rubber tired or steel?
I believe this was rubber tired.
Could you imagine this doing a 4-wheel burnout as it leaves LAX?
Hell yes.
Like just the motorman who's presumably sitting on top like an old Pioneer Aviator. Like he sets off from a red signal, and a guy in I don't know, the Chrysler turbine car honks his La Cucaracha horn at him threateningly, and so they just like 4-wheel burnout to prove that he's faster.
Yeah.
Down the 401.
This system was supposed to have 11 cars total. 10 would be for up to 10 would be used for the downtown to the airport service, and then the 11th would be an interterminal loop around the airport. They
Oh,
already figured this
wow.
out. It's not a one-seat ride, but man, that second seat is going to be real short.
Yeah, and you're going to
And
the LAX theme building for all of this. Incredible.
yeah, and obviously this went nowhere because we do not have the 90-mile-an-hour
Just
LA
like we don't have the GM
monorail,
Aero train taken from us.
which is how the Trailblazer ended up in a scrapyard where some yokel out in Wills Point, Texas went, "That's my bomb-ass lake house right there,"
Mm-hmm.
and somehow got this thing on a truck and loaded out onto his property.
Oh yeah, but this is incredible. And then
We could have had this.
we could have had this. We could have had monorails everywhere, but instead we get Elon Musk's gaping hole. Um,
Oh,
uh-huh.
I will pay you to never say those words together again.
But anyway, so now we're almost to the end. I know it's been almost 3 hours, but if everyone can just hold on for a little bit more, this is
We're past 3, but
next. Well, we had the technical difficulty, so it's probably a little bit less. But just next slide. This is how the Wuppertal monorail turned trains mid-route. Just click start. It should start right away. With nice music that's so loud.
that was loud, and that slider was way down too.
Yeah. Watch this. It's
Dude. Whoa! The fuck is that?
they had a turntable.
Dude.
They had a turntable.
I thought I was cool
They decommissioned
running
it in
streetcars
2000.
on a table. They're turning streetcars on a turntable. I will never be turning a monorail on a turntable.
They apparently decommissioned it in 2002 because I guess they didn't really have need for it anymore. Also, it rained hydraulic oil into the river every time they used it.
Details, schmetails. You can seal that up somehow, I'm sure.
But this is so cool.
Is any part of that structure still there? Like, did they just lock it in place and don't use it anymore?
I think they locked it in place.
That would be dope.
It's like every out of service drawbridge.
Well, now I'm gonna have to go along the Wuppertal Schwebebahn?
Schwebebahn.
I think that's what it's called. Schwebebahn?
Yeah. I think it's still there. I don't think they use it. I'm having trouble sort of seeing if it's there or not.
I found the right away.
This
Finally.
is such good jazz music, but I think that's the end of the video, so we're going to go to the next slide. How do I go to the next slide? There we go. Finally!
Usually you use an arrow key.
Finally, the last slide. Okay. We're on the last slide. Everybody just hold it together. So we have been asking for your submissions for did something happen to you on public transit? Did something almost happen to you on public transit? And we have not yet received any submissions because we haven't aired an episode yet. And yet somehow we have one because this happened to me. This happened to me. So this is a very simple one. I wish that any of these videos worked, but as you can see with the NBC 6 South Florida one, there's just no video files linked to it anymore. This was 13 years ago. Almost to the day, actually. I didn't realize that. So my brother, Jonathan, is a doctor. He lives in South Florida. He lives in Miami. He went to school he went to college at University of Miami, and we went down there for his college graduation. And we rented a car, obviously, as one does in Miami. And the MIA mover is one of the several rubber-tired people mover borderline gadget bond things that exist at the Miami airport. This is arguably the lesser known one because there's the SkyTrain that everyone seems to know about. This one goes to the rental car center. And so we had just returned our rental car And I promise you I'm not making this up. We'd returned the rental car. We were in the thing waiting for the MIA mover to pick us up. We were calling Jonathan because my family is definitely one of the ones that lets people know when we have arrived at our destination.
Yep.
So we could, and he didn't answer, so we left him a voicemail. And and how old would I have been? I think I would have been 12. No, I would have been 1996 to 2012. How many years is that? 8, 17, 15? I know my own ages.
16?
16. Too young. Anyways, I was making the voice into over mom's shoulder. It's like, oh no, the thing's gonna crash off the end of the runway. Oh no, we're all gonna die. We're all gonna die. And then it fucking crashed.
This is your fault. I'm blaming you.
Yes.
We should update the news.
This absolutely happened, because, and the train, they have like a rubber tired metro style switch track, and I don't remember why, but the guide wheel assembly apparently had not been properly torqued after maintenance, and it just jumped the tracks, and did so with enough violence that it actually, because these things are Mitsubishi Crystal cars. I don't really know a lot about them, but they have gigantic wheels.
Oh, and fuck is a Mitsubishi Crystal?
It's like one of their automated people mover systems. I think they bought somebody else or something.
Why does it look like something from Half-Life 2?
Crystal mover. It's a whole thing. Like there's a whole ecosystem of people movers out there. But anyways, it has giant wheels on it. It hit the side of the guideway and just bounced straight up, and then came to rest at this cockeyed angle like that. So,
hell yeah.
Which really threw some people around. I know for a fact, because I did it on the way down there, that if I had been on this, I would have gone flying, because I was standing like hands on my hip, not holding on to anything like an idiot.
You have to, because it's cool.
But yeah,
look what I can do.
But anyway, so like if you look at this screenshot of the security video, right below the word international in like courtesy Miami International Airport is where we were standing. And so that was us. We were the smartest people there because we turned around and left immediately. Because the rental car center is not physically connected to the airport. There were 3 taxi cabs out front still. And we got one of them. And we paid the driver like $20 to drive us or however much it cost him to drive us to the airport terminal. Well, and we were out of there before anyone realized what was happening, as they were marshaling buses to like get people to the airport, which would have taken presumably an age.
Oh, at least age and a half, probably.
So we got like one of the 3 taxi cabs, and that was our excitement for the day. and then
where's that shake hands with danger drop, damn it?
Down. Shake
hands with danger.
Yep. And that is fucking finally, that is it. That is the last thing after over 3 hours, except that I did hear a Discord ping. So what did you send me? It's in...
Oh, I found the turntable.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, but only because on Google Maps the shadow gives it away.
That's awesome.
It doesn't really look that different
from
above.
I think it's still like that. So that is, yeah, that's awesome. Now I
wait, there might be 2.
Oh my god. Now I have to figure
I think I shot another one down the street.
Oh my god. That's incredible.
Oh, well, this has been another wonderful episode. Another long-winded, but hopefully fun episode of Somehow You Didn't Die on Your Way to Work.
How long have we been recording? 3.5 hours.
Yeah, don't crash. 3 hours and 25 minutes.
Yep.
I would like to give credit to OBS for apparently being more reliable than Zencaster because it has not shit the bed on me once.
I'm knocking on wood with that. It works for me too.
Next episode's gonna be terrible. I jinxed us. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
But if as always, if we ever publish these things and you are listening and you have an interesting close call or dangerous events that you were a part of on public transit, we would like to hear about it. Send us an email at swddoywtw@gmail.com.
SW. It's not SW. SY.
Was that all that came through?
You
SY? Oh.
No, you said
Oh.
SWD. So it's
Oh.
S.
I blame the whiskey.
SYDDOYWTW
TW
at gmail.com.
And if we decide to get a better email, we will put it in the notes and like put big caps in front of that email.
No,
address
we're
and
not
say,
going.
Nope, don't
we're
email
not
this
going
one.
to get a better email. We are. Although what I do have an idea of is I haven't made the YouTube channel yet, and I do think this is going to be up against the character limit for YouTube titles. So I'm interested to see how that comes out. But so we will see what we have to slim it down to. I'm thinking somehow you didn't die, maybe, but that doesn't seem like it'll help at all. But anyways, it is 10:30 p.m. Eastern time. I'm gonna go not do this for a bit, and then go to bed because I have work in the morning. I have been Joe. He has been Zach. I've had to pee for 3.5 hours.
You could have given me like a sign or something. I would have bullshitted for you for a minute.
Nah, I was like, I'm a grown adult. I can hold it. And then it just kept on going.
Oh, don't. You're going to hate me for this, but I've taken like 3 piss breaks through the whole thing.
Well, I figured it's my episode, so I can't really stop talking.
Oh, God. Oh, we can always like cut something out.
No. Well, we are going to have to for this one for the tech difficulties. Because even I'm not
Maybe.
that... Even I'm not that
Maybe.
unprofessional.
I don't know. I've got a nice little monologue in there. But thank you all for listening. Have a good night. I'm ending the recording.
I'm ending it too. Have a good one, ladies and gentlemen.
You too.
Bye.